Who? Who? Ah. Ooh, eyes hurt. What's up, bitch man? How's it hanging? There's fantastic. Happy you're enjoying it. All right, guys. Okay. Okay. How are we feeling? Love the hair. Happy you enjoy it. Let me look make it look better. Sorry. It looks a little bit crazy right now. Sorry. Sorry about that. There we go. This is more reasonable. How's that? That better? Not better. Hey guys. What's going on? Hey. Just get you jumped. The Pam Bondi just get me jumped. No, we are gonna talk about Pam Bondi though. We're gonna watch the uh we're gonna watch the DOJ whole hearing today. We're gonna watch it all. We didn't watch it yesterday. We should have watched it yesterday. I thought I'd get copyright strike, but I'm not going to. So that's what we're gonna do. Oh yeah, we're back to regular hair. Sorry. Hi. We got it without red hat. I like that. That's pretty tough. I don't think they care about being the symbols of hatred though. That's really the thing there. Big thing you gotta understand is that they really don't care about being symbols of hatred. That's the least of their concerns. The absolute bottom tier of their concerns is being associated with hatred in any capacity. Miss the Uno hair, the different colors. Me too. All right. Okay. Or with your hair, really, you're right. I gotta just start doing whatever with my hair. Just gotta start doing whatever with her. I'm guessing. Well, we're gonna watch the DOJ Pam Bondi hearing. That's why I'm here early. Usually I'm here a little bit later, but the red hat is hard. So the see, so the the testifying is very long, very long. So we're going to watch the entirety of it. I'm gonna get this up on screen. What would you guys want? For people in horizontal chat, do you guys want the big face or do you guys want this? Which do you prefer? Because big face would put the screen about right here. That's where the screen would be, and it'd be full screen like this. And then the other one would be right here. Oh, sorry, right here. So, well, it probably wouldn't be right there. Hold on. I don't think it would be. Hold on. I know. It's two streams. It's two streams. It's two streams. I'm aware of which stream I'm talking to. I know what's going on. I know what's happening. I know things. I'm an adult. Hold on. Hold it. Hold it. Hold it. My face would be right here. So, which one would you prefer? Are we doing big face like this? Right? This is big face. This is me with big face. Or are we doing just say big face? Just say big face or small face. Type in chat big face or small face. People in vertical chat have no clue what I'm talking about, but for everything, big face, actually big face or small face. Sorry, big face or small face. Big face? We got big face, big face, big face. Got a lot of big faces. Big face, small face. Big face, big face, big face, big face. Is Pam Bondi like a Jew guy? No, Pam Bondi is the General Attorney of the United States of America. Small, big, small, big. We're doing like back and forth. It's kind of crazy. I like this. This is really interesting. I like the back and forth of what's going on here. Small, big face, big ass. Oh, it's quite interesting. Okay, so I think I'll just do big face. We'll just do big face. We'll just do big face. So we're going to watch the DOJ hearing. That is what I want to do today. So start a poll. I should start a poll for the horizontal chat. That's actually smart. I should start a poll. Let me do that. Here, hold on. I'll start a poll for the. I'll start a poll. View my channel. There we are. Let me see here. Hold on. I have the tools here. Here it goes. Okay. I have this poll run for about, I don't know, 3-4 minutes. So we'll do that. We got big, small, big, small. It'd be crazy if it's a has. Tune into the context for this. Okay, so we have two we have two different stream things. So this is me with big face, and this is small face, me on the side. So we got two different ways it goes. It will be either this with me on the side being small right here, or it'd be big face, which is me on the left here. So whichever one you guys want. All right, thigh highs on nonstop. That's pretty good. 50 push-ups. That's really good. That's really good. Yeah. So if you're in vertical chat, you just see it above my hair. So it's not really. You just see it above my hair. It's not really a contingency point. I look like a Kabuto beetle. Yeah, I can see that. My day's going pretty good. My day's going pretty good. We're gonna watch the DOJ stuff, bro. Sonic hair is fire. Thank you. Real divisive poll here. Is it really half right now still? We're looking at a lot. 69% on big face. This is real interesting. Okay, I guess it might be a big face kind of day. Might be a big face kind of day. We'll make this bigger so it gets the full thing here. Hold on. Get the full thing. Because this is very important to me. It's sad you're becoming a political channel. I talk about whatever I want to. Sadly, politics is all that's going on. That really all I care about right now because it's affecting my daily life at this point. So that's the big issue here. It's really affecting my daily life. So sorry if you're a long time viewer and don't like the politics. That's really what it is. Or you'll get sued. You're right, Mary. You're right, Mary. Subtle wife thumbnail. Is it real? Are we back? We're back. Your has you looking like a Tekken villain. I am Heihachi Mishima. That's what I am. Okay. All right. So, welcome, chat. Hello, all. We are going to be talking about the nonsense, the absolute nonsense that is going on with the DOJ hearing. I would like to watch it in totality. The beginning is a little boring. We're going to skip past a little bit of beginning, but I want to watch this in totality. So, yeah, I'm excited.
I recognize 18 cities, 11 states. Attorney General.
You even launched a criminal investigation as your only real interest.
Here we go.
So you ignored the law, and even with over 100,000 employees at your disposal, you acted with some mixture of staggering incompetence, cold indifference, and jaded cruelty towards more than 1,000 victims raped, abused, and trafficked.
They're really tearing her apart here. Like they're going to be tearing her apart for quite some time. They're going to be just absolutely tearing her apart for quite some time because of the handling. She's pretty much the scapegoat for Donald Trump right now. So that's what's going on here. Can't hear this? You can't hear it? Or you don't want to hear it. It's okay. It's okay if you don't want to hear it. It's fine. So
this performance screams cover up. Convicted sex trafficker and groomer Ghislaine Maxwell opened the gates of hell to Virginia Giuffre and hundreds of other victims, as Virginia recorded in her remarkable book, Nobody's Girl. But when Maxwell was subpoenaed to come testify before Congress, you and Todd Blanche quickly moved her from a higher security prison to a minimum security camp in Texas.
Talking about Ghislaine Maxwell for a second, just pivoting to Ghislaine Maxwell for a moment. She had a hearing, I believe it was yesterday. And if we look at Ghislaine's hearing, she plead the fifth. She refused to testify 3 days ago. She refused to testify without getting I think it was alimony or something. What was it from Trump? Clemency. She wanted clemency from Trump. And she couldn't get clemency from Trump. So that's what happened. She could not get clemency from Trump.
That's the same thing that Epstein did when asked about Trump.
Yeah,
He pled the fifth.
Yeah, that's the same thing Epstein did when asked about Trump. He pled the fifth. Same exact thing. So she refused to testify. So just talking about that right quick. And she is in a minimum security prison at the current moment. She is currently in a minimum security prison. That is the lowest level of security you can get in a prison at the current moment. She is in a minimum security prison. So that's what's going on there.
Where she's enjoyed 5-star treatment, including catered meals, private gym time, and access to a therapy puppy.
Yeah, she got a puppy. She got a therapy puppy. So yeah, chat says hi, by the way, baby. She got a therapy puppy is what she got. So she's basically in a resort at the current moment. She's basically in a resort.
All because Todd Blanche, who's utterly failed to investigate the monstrous crimes of Epstein and Maxwell's co-conspirators, spent 9 hours with Maxwell and satisfied himself that she would have nothing untoward to say about Donald Trump, which is your only real interest in the matter.
So this is good. That's kind of how the entire thing. Well, we did big face, so we'll just end the poll. So that's kind of how she operates here. Now they're tearing her apart. It's going to be a lot of tearing apart in the beginning. That's just what it's going to be. I'd like to hear her first response, essentially.
Extra rounds of questions today because we each have 5 hours of questions, not 5 minutes, but we're stuck with 5 minutes. That's clearly insufficient to give voice to America's victims and survivors and to demand answers about all the corruption and cover-ups that we see at DOJ right now. We've got just one round, so we ask you politely but firmly, Madam Attorney General, please do not waste 1 second of our precious time by evading questions, by changing the subject, or engaging in personal attacks against members of Congress. We saw your performance in the Senate, and we're not going to accept that. This isn't a game.
So this is really cool. Everything he just said, she's gonna do. Based on the small snippets that I've seen. Based on the small snippets that I've seen. She is gonna do everything he just said. It's gonna be so great. Let's get into it.
In the Senate, you brought something with you called a burn book, a binder of smears to attack members personally for doing the people's work of oversight. Please set the burn book aside and answer our questions. And when you hear us reclaim our time, that means it's time for you to stop speaking. We only have 5 minutes, so when we reclaim our time, that means you stop. And if you don't, we will ask the chair to stop the clock and let you go on his time. The quality of justice in America depends on the character of our government. Please do your job and bring the Department of Justice back from the brink. The survivors seated behind you and the American people watching everywhere deserve a Department of Justice worthy of its name. I yield back, Mr. Chair.
Without objection, all of the opening statements will be included in the record. We will now introduce today's witness. The Honorable Pamela J. Bondi has served as the Attorney General of the United States since February 5th, 2025. She previously served in the office as a... Would you please rise?
Well, we know who she is.
Do you swear or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God?
I do.
All right, so right here, she made a foul error. You can tell right here she's beginning to panic. She stumbled a little bit. Now, you can see her hand stumble. Hold up a second, because she was about to drop her hand because she was about to lie. Now, watch her hand real fast on the left side.
Do you
Watch
swear
this.
or affirm under penalty of perjury that the testimony you're about to give is true and correct to the best of your knowledge?
See her hand shift a little bit? Right there. She was about to say nuh-uh. You can see her hand shift ever so slightly. You can feel it. You can feel it. She was about to say nuh-uh, but she stopped herself. She stopped herself. She stopped herself right at that exact moment before she said, nah. All you pre-watch? I didn't pre-watch this. I want to point this out. I'm doing live commentary analysis. I didn't pre-watch this. You think I watched 4 hours? No. I only saw the few snippets that I saw yesterday, but yeah, I'm analyzing the body language. I'm analyzing everything. I didn't pre. We're all watching this for the first time. I'm just gonna call out everything I want to see. So I'm excited. I'm excited. We can do a game with this. Take a shot every time she brings up Donald Trump. We'll see how you're not gonna be able to drive after that. You're gonna be beyond the legal limit. Hello, Sultan of Crabs. Supposed to see. So this is gonna be ridiculous. So. Now, from the 3 clips I saw, she called someone a loser. She lied. Someone called her out for lying. And right here, she's not as red yet, but that's good. So let's get it going.
Knowledge, information, and belief, so help you God.
I do.
Let the record show that the witness has answered in the affirmative. Thank you. You can be seated. And please know that your written testimony will be entered into the record in its entirety. Accordingly, we ask that you summarize your testimony. Madam Attorney General, you may begin.
Thank you. Thank you, Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Raskin, and distinguished members of this committee. Thank you for hosting me here today. I'm grateful for the opportunity to answer your questions, highlight the work of our department, and discuss the most important topic of all, keeping the American people safe.
All right, cool. All right.
The most important topic of all.
Keeping American keep America safe. All right, so immediately we're on nonsense. I enjoyed this so much. Let me do something real fast. I'm gonna ask the people in chat, would you guys like to watch this? If it pisses me off, I'm already pissed. Would you guys like to watch this at 1.25 times speed? Because that's what I'm about to do. I actually don't care about your opinion. I'm putting this on 1.25 times speed. Anyways.
A little over a year ago, I was sworn into office as the 87th Attorney General of the United States. I came into office with the goal of refocusing the Department of Justice on its core mission after years of bloated bureaucracy and political weaponization. The Department of Justice's core mission is to fight violent crime, protect the American people, and defend the rule of law above all else. While our work is never done, we have made tremendous progress to make America safe again. In 2025, we saw the lowest murder rate in 125 years.
We're not here to talk. We're not here to talk about the murder rate. We're here to talk about the Epstein files. Ladies with gentle hands, we're not here to talk. Oh my God. We're not here to make, we're not here about this. This is about the Epstein files, man. Safe is crazy. Safe is I'm in Detroit and it's safer than where you're at. This is crazy.
That's nothing short of historic. If you compare 25 to 24, here's what you'll find. The murder rate is down 21%, robbery down 23%, carjacking down 43%, gun assault.
Like leftover from Biden.
It is left over from Biden, which I don't even care about that. I'm not going to play Democrats versus Republicans today. I'm trying to get Epstein stuff.
Down 22%. Ag assault, burglary, could go on and on. Crime is declining. This did not happen by accident. The numbers tell an important yet straightforward story. President Trump has given us the resources, the support, and the leadership to protect the American people.
Holy glaze, bro. Krispy Kreme, where are you? What is this glaze? Talk about Epstein. Oh, brother.
President Trump's policies have saved lives. I cannot think of a policy outcome more important than protecting the lives of American citizens. Can you? This trend has been especially clear in Washington, D.C. and in Memphis. These are two iconic American cities that spent years in the grip of horrific violent crime. The Department of Justice surged law enforcement resources, and the results came quickly. Crime plummeted in both cities. And I want to make one point loud and clear. We achieved those results by working with Democratic mayors.
I'm so happy that she's able to talk about working with Democratic mayors and stuff. I'm really happy about this. This opening remark has nothing to do with the Epstein files, which she's testifying on the Epstein files at the oversight. This is like literally, you can read up top here. No reason to bring up all this other stuff.
Public safety does not have a party registration. When your constituents call 911, they don't ask for political views of the responding officer. They ask for help. I have federal agents in each and every one of your districts. They're here to help, and I am here to help. Many cities and states have worked with us and taken advantage of our federal support. Some have not. Meanwhile, a few elected officials have...
Many people have taken advantage of us. Some have not. Okay, yeah, thanks for...
Release those files, huh?
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. I gotta appreciate that. Some have taken advantage of us. Some haven't. Okay. Thanks for letting me know that. That's cool. Go off, girl. Go off, girly.
Declared that they are, quote, at war with the federal government and encouraged widespread obstruction of law enforcement. This has resulted in avoidable clashes on the streets, as you've all seen. We've seen rioters storming a Christian church. Citizens and law enforcement officers have both been endangered by reckless rhetoric. We have made dozens of arrests in and around Minneapolis so far, and many of them could have been avoided by simple compliance with federal law.
Okay, all right, cool. I don't want to hear the rest of her opening statement at this point. It's so long. This is insane. I get it.
Redacted it. All members...
Okay, here we go.
And more to come. We've done so while ending the weaponization of the prior administration by dropping FACE Act prosecutions, exposing the Arctic Frost scandal via congressional disclosure, thank you, Chairman, and restoring one tier of justice in this country. To address the Epstein files, more than 500 attorneys and reviewers spent thousands of hours painstakingly reviewing millions of pages to comply with Congress's law. We've released more than 3 million pages, including 180,000 images, all to the public, while doing our very best in the time frame allotted by the legislation to protect victims. And if you brought us a victim's name that was inadvertently released, we immediately redacted it. All members of Congress, as you know, are invited to visit DOJ to see for yourselves. I want to take a moment to acknowledge the Epstein survivors who are here today. I'm a career prosecutor, and despite what the ranking member said, I have spent my entire career fighting for victims, and I will continue to do so. I am deeply sorry for what any victim has been through, especially as a result of that monster.
There's like no emotion in her voice, guys. There's no emotion. No, not a single hint, not even a flicker, not even an accident. Not even accidentally showing emotion in her voice. This is insane. She's not even showing any accident, like a smidgen of a little bit of emotion in her voice. It's crazy. I am deeply sorry for what it is. Yeah, I appreciate that. We'll see.
Any information to share with law enforcement about anyone who has hurt you or abused you, the FBI is waiting to hear from you. I want you to know that any accusations of criminal wrongdoing will be taken seriously and investigated. The Department of Justice is committed to holding criminals accountable to the fullest extent of the law. In 2025, the FBI arrested over 1,700 child predators, a 10% increase from 2024. We also located 2,700 victims of child exploitation and shut down 3.8 million dark web pedophile accounts. 3.8 million. So please, if you have information to share that needs to be investigated, contact the FBI. Today, I look forward to discussing further our shared obligation to protect the American people, uphold the rule of law, and keep this nation safe. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. The Chair now, we now proceed on the 5-minute rule. The Chair recognizes the gentleman from California for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Madam General, thank you for your extensive remarks, particularly on your continued investigation of those responsible over the years in the Epstein debacle. Obviously, you have an amazingly full docket between civil rights, between criminal, between so-called white-collar crime, and doing so, as the chairman said, at a time in which both you and the president are under attack, and our ICE agents and FBI and others are under attack when they try to enforce the law. I personally want to apologize for those who would embolden, support, or even stand with those lawbreakers that sit on this and other daises here in Congress. My job generally is to talk about patents and trademarks as the chairman of that subcommittee. I'll forego that today because one of my other jobs is the creation and maintenance of Article III judges, and I work with the Chief Justice on that, and we're trying to expand the court. But currently, there are only 677 district court judges. They have very full dockets as well. But you create a tremendous amount of judges, particularly immigration judges. You do so in order to save the court but adjudicate, as is requirement, each of those people who claim a right to be here in the United States. And that has been going on under Republican and Democratic administrations for years. What's unique about the Trump administration this time is that you and President Trump have managed to reduce the backlog of people seeking that for the first time in decades. You are getting ahead of that tremendous backlog that caused, for better or worse, the release of millions of people with little pieces of paper saying, come back later when we call you, and often to no avail when you call. So I want to congratulate you on that because it's an accomplishment you might not take credit for and the other side would never give you credit for. But I hope you can continue to do that and do more. And I say so for a reason, because much of this hearing will be about Minneapolis and other places in which the backlog of criminal aliens, including in my home state of California, people who have hurt other people who have victimized their communities, is extensive. And although the overall number through adjudication may be going on, because of places like my home state, California, you're unable to apprehend people that my sheriffs want apprehended. They desperately want to cooperate, and they're prohibited by law. It is this committee's opinion on this side of the aisle that, in fact, you should be given the ability to demand that participation, and that the release of a known criminal not be considered to be acceptable just because a state.
This is fine. I only care about the Epstein stuff, to be quite honest with you.
You do, in fact, have Article I judges constantly putting those out, and they are respected normally.
Thank you, Congressman, for talking about all the great judges. And if I could add one thing to that, we are always recruiting and looking for judges. So please add some qualified lawyers as well.
thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's Bondi. Right
Finally.
here.
Thank you. I yield back.
Gentleman yields back. The gentlelady from Washington is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi, right here. We are joined in this room by some of the thousands of survivors from Jeffrey Epstein's horrific sex trafficking ring. They have shown such incredible courage in speaking out, in demanding accountability to bring the predators and pedophiles to justice. The Epstein Files Transparency Act required your
One moment. Forgot to do something. So this is, I believe this is where we're going to get some heat. I believe we're going to get some heat here. Give me 1 second. I have to do one thing. Because holy snooze fest so far. But give me 1 second. It's interesting though. It just seems so wildly interesting how they're doing this. It just feels strange. And maybe I'm stupid. I'll accept that I'm stupid. But it just feels as though they're doing this strangely. I could be dumb. One moment. Talk amongst yourselves, children. It feels like I'm infantilizing you. Let's see. There we go. Okay. All right, that's better.
Department of Justice to disclose the perpetrators connected with Epstein's criminal activities and to redact the information of survivors to protect their identities. Let me show you what actually happened. First, in violation of the law, your department has shown a pattern of redacting the names of powerful predators. Here behind me is one example of an email from Epstein to a man whose name was redacted.
Big old, big ass sign. Hey, let me show you what you did real fast. Observe.
Email reads, quote, "Where are you? Are you okay?"
Making sure everybody can see it. Hey guys, let me show you what you guys did. Observe. I am in China. I will be in this U.S. second week of May. Oh my goodness.
I loved the
Sent from a BlackBerry? Oh, brother, we're cooked.
torture video. Only after members of Congress demanded that we see the unredacted files did the world learn the name of this individual, Sultan Ahmed bin Sulayem, the chairman and CEO of a company that had financial ties to President Trump's business and personal ties to Trump's advisor, Steve Bannon. Second, the survivors were not similarly protected, also in violation of the law. Here is another email titled Epstein Victim List. We have blurred the names of the survivors for their protection, but your Department of Justice initially released this list of 32 survivors' names with only one name redacted.
That's got to be intentional. That's got to be intentional. That has got to be intentional. That's got to be intentional. That's got to be intentional.
Along with numerous files that disclose not only the names, the emails, and the addresses of survivors, but also nude photographs and even the identities of Jane Does who had been protected for decades until your department released their names. Survivors are now telling us that their families are finding out for the first time that they were trafficked by Epstein. In their words, quote, "This release does not provide closure. It feels like a deliberate attempt to intimidate survivors, punish those who came forward, and reinforce the same culture of secrecy that allowed Epstein's crimes to continue for decades." To the survivors in the room, if you are willing, please stand. And if you are willing, please raise your hands if you have still not been able to meet with this Department of Justice.
Look at the guys on the floor. They're like, "Oh, we gotta get this. I want to be this guy. I want to be this guy. I want to be the camera people." That's crazy.
Please know for the record that every single survivor has raised their hand.
Please know for the record, none of these people got justice. Holy.
Attorney General Bondi, you apologized to the survivors in your opening statement for what they went through at the hands of Jeffrey Epstein. Will you turn to them now and apologize for what your Department of Justice has put them through with the absolutely unacceptable release of the Epstein files and their information?
Congresswoman, you sat before, Merrick Garland sat in this chair twice
Attorney General
Guys, no,
Bondi,
can I
I'm gonna
finish my answer?
No, I'm going to reclaim my time because I asked you a
Attorney General, yes, sir.
specific question
Attorney General
that I
can
would
respond to your
like you to answer, which is, will you turn to the survivors? This is not about anybody that came before you. It is about you taking responsibility for your Department of Justice and the harm that it has done to the survivors who are standing right behind you and are waiting for you to turn to them and apologize for what your Department of Justice has done.
Members get to ask the questions. The witness get to answer in the way they want to answer. The Attorney General can
That's
respond.
not accurate, Mr. Chairman.
Because she doesn't
It is
like the
my
answer.
time.
So,
Mr. Chairman,
why
I have asked
didn't
a
she ask
question.
Merrick Garland this?
I am
twice
reclaiming
when
my
he sat in
time, and
chair?
when I
will
reclaim my
continue to
time,
answer.
As soon as they ask about the Epstein, as soon as they don't glaze her, this turns into kangaroo court immediately. This turns into kangaroo court immediately. As soon as they just turns into kangaroo court. So childish. I love it. It's immediate kangaroo court, dude.
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady's
I'm
reclaimed
not
the
going to
time.
get in the gutter for her theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentlelady. The gentlelady has 17 seconds.
Thank you. You're not going to answer this question, so let me just
Chairman,
say
I'll
this.
direct it to
What
you.
a massive
No, I'm
cover-up.
answering a
Mr.
question.
Chairman, will you restore her time? The witness is
I'm not
interrupted.
going to get in the gutter with this woman.
Stop the
She's
time
doing
and
theatrics.
let me have my time.
The gentlelady from Washington controls the time. The gentlelady has 17 seconds. You can proceed with your final
Thank you.
17 seconds.
What a massive cover-up this has been and continues to be. Donald Trump made the release of the Epstein files the center of his political campaign because he thought it would benefit him. Then you got into office, Attorney General, claimed to have a client list, only
Regular
to
order.
then say that there was no list. Your deputy,
The time
Todd
of
Blanche,
the-
met alone
time of the
with
gentlelady
Elaine
has- the
Maxwell
time of the
and
gentlelady has
transferred her
expired.
to a minimum security prison. And now you continue
the
the
time of the
cover-up. And
gentlelady
I
has
wish
expired.
that you would turn around to the survivors who are standing right behind you and on a human level,
Chairman,
apologize
Chair now
to them.
recognizes
And what you should
So, if you could just apologize. Apology's not going to do anything, but it is showing that she's not even willing to look at them. She doesn't even have the capacity of being a human to look at them. That is absolutely demonic, to not have the capacity to look at the people that actively are being affected when you have claimed so adamantly to be for the side of these survivors, of these people victimized by the horrible exploitation that Jeffrey Epstein and people of the Epstein class have done. To not even look at them is insane. To not even look at them. That's crazy.
done.
Time is
I yield
expired.
back.
The gentlelady, you have no time to yield back. We
Theatrics.
appreciate that. We appreciate the thought. And I would argue the central issue in the last election, presidential election, was securing the border. The gentleman from Arizona who knows something about securing the border is up for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. In 2022, Lafarge, which is a French cement company, pled guilty in U.S. federal court to participating in a criminal conspiracy with ISIS. That conspiracy contributed to the deaths of U.S. service members fighting in Syria during Operation Inherent Resolve. As part of the plea agreement, Lafarge was required to pay more than $775 million to DOJ's Asset Forfeiture Fund. In February 2025, my colleagues and I sent you a letter to Mike
this
and Sue
is-
on to
Work with
isn't
you.
about
Thank you for
Epstein.
that question.
Yeah, appreciate your answer. And now let's go to something that is also pressing that
Wait a
has been
second.
brought to a resolution.
Congressman, we are aware of that, and we're committed to doing everything we can to support the victims and work with you. Thank you for that question.
Yeah, appreciate your answer.
Everything that is not having to do with the Epstein files, she answers with near impunity, with just a direct yes or no. It's kind of crazy. Everything with that like the other question that wasn't about the Epstein files, is about Minneapolis and about the law-abiding stuff and all that stuff and lawyers and judges, that was answered immediately. That question, which was not pertaining to the Epstein stuff, immediate answer. It's kind of crazy, kind of strange.
Sure. And now let's go to something that is also pressing that I've been working on for years, and this is the FISA Section 702 and Arctic frost. In January 2025, you testified before the U.S. Senate and agreed with Senator Lee that, quote, anytime an American citizen's private communications are intercepted or stored, whether through incidental collection or otherwise, those communications should not be searched without some showing of probable cause, close quote. You still hold that view today, I assume.
Yes.
And during the most recent FISA reauthorization, I offered an amendment to establish a clear warrant requirement for searches of Americans' data while preserving every publicly cited operational exception, including emergencies, defensive queries, cybersecurity threats. And my intent was to ensure the Department of Justice could continue to keep Americans safe while also ending warrantless searches of U.S. persons' data. Are there any additional circumstances or exceptions that you believe must be included to ensure DOJ can continue to operate effectively while still protecting American citizens' data and privacy?
Yeah, Congressman, we are committed to working with Congress to uncover weaponization and other misconduct by Jack Smith, by others, Arctic Frost, everything that happened under the past administration. And we are committed to working with you on that. And we are working with Chairman Jordan, with the House Intel, with
All right, I want to point this out. Note every single time, something of the variety that is brought up when it comes to anything outside the Epstein files. Just immediate answer. No arguing. That's crazy to me. That's just insane to me. That's wild.
all of our
Using a legal predicate.
regarding that because it is very active and ongoing.
And you probably can't answer this one either, but I really want to know if Section 702 queries related to that matter involved members of Congress, which we know at some level it did. That's where all.
It is a very active pending investigation within my office. However, I believe many members of Congress have stated that there's party. If any up and down scream.
I hope it is a bipartisan issue, investigation privilege, but that's this. How many intelligence do you use beyond that information will be helpful?
That is the gentlelady from Texas.
I ask unanimous consent to enter into the record. El Paso airspace reopened after FAA quickly rescinds 10-day flights restriction. This was published by the Texas Tribune on February 11th, 2026, and it says it was because of an impasse with the DoD over the use of unmanned military aircraft and not triggered by Mexican cartel drones.
Without objection.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman. I didn't hear back about the second round of questions. I assume that's not happening. I just want to be able to assure the members, certainly on my side, if not both sides,
That's not a point of order.
no, that every member will get 5 minutes with the witness. Will there be 5 minutes for each?
Yeah, you get 5 minutes. Yeah.
With the witness. Okay,
Yeah.
very good.
Yeah. Okay. And are you up next? Gentleman from New York is recognized.
Mr. Chairman, I want to begin by acknowledging the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein's horrific abuse who are in the room with us today. I want to thank all of you for your bravery in speaking out. And I want to say that you and the other survivors of these heinous crimes deserve better from this Department of Justice. In particular, it is shocking that the department did not redact the names of Epstein's victims, but it did redact the names of their abusers. I don't know whether this was done out of incompetence or whether it was deliberate and malicious, but either way, it is completely unacceptable. Even more troubling, the DOJ has failed to bring any of these perpetrators to justice. Instead, it has engaged in a relentless pursuit of Donald Trump's perceived enemies. I want to focus on just one example. The Attorney General of my home state of New York, Tish James. This DOJ has been hell-bent on securing an indictment against Ms. James for something, anything, simply because she held Donald Trump's companies accountable for years of financial fraud. And indeed, the department manufactured an investigation against her for alleged, quote, mortgage fraud. But the U.S. attorney leading the investigation, Eric Siebert, a Trump appointee, refused to bring charges against Ms. James because there was simply no evidence. Unfortunately, a prosecutor who refuses to do Trump's bidding has no place in this DOJ, so Mr. Siebert was forced out. Trump could not contain his fury. Fury that he expressed to you in a social media post addressed to you by name. I'm sure you've seen it. Quote, I fired him and there was a great case he wrote to you about, Mr. Siebert. Then we moved down. We can't delay any longer. It's killing our reputation and credibility. They impeached me twice and indicted me 5 times over nothing. Justice must be served now. And obviously, you followed that order. Lindsay Halligan, Trump's former defense lawyer who had never prosecuted a case in her life, was installed to replace Mr. Siebert, and it was clear that part of her mandate was to go after Ms. James. Halligan immediately sought an indictment, which a court dismissed because Halligan was illegally put into the role. But your department was undeterred. And not once, but twice, it tried to indict Attorney General James in separate courts. Both grand juries rejected you and refused to indict her. It is practically unheard of for a grand jury to refuse an indictment. In 2016, it happened in just 6 cases out of over 150,000 offenses. And you had it happen twice in the same week, in 2 different courts. That must have been humiliating. And now there are reports you were...
Wait. That must have been humiliating. It's so funny. That must have been humiliating. That's insane.
continuing to investigate her. The amount of resources that have gone into targeting Attorney General James, months of investigations, multiple failed indictments, is astounding. Since your own prosecutors told you that there is not enough evidence to support a conviction, it's clear that you are going after her simply because she held President Trump accountable and he wants to punish her. And she is just one name on a long list of Trump political enemies that DOJ is reportedly targeting. From Jerome Powell and Lisa Cook at the Federal Reserve to James Comey, numerous Democratic members of Congress, John Brennan, Jack Smith, Democratic officials in Minnesota, Chris Krebs, Miles Taylors, and more. And those are just the ones we know about. In contrast to these politically motivated investigations, grasping at something they can charge their enemies with, we now have concrete evidence of disgusting criminality revealed in the Epstein files. So I really have just one question for you. How many of Epstein's co-conspirators have you indicted? How many perpetrators are you even investigating?
First, you showed it. I find it.
How many have you indicted?
Excuse me. I'm going to answer the question.
Answer my question.
No, I'm going to answer the question the way I want to answer the question.
No,
Your
you're going to answer the
theatrics are
question the way I
ridiculous.
asked it.
Chairman Jordan, I'm not going to get in the gutter with these people, but I'm going to answer the question.
How many have you indicted?
Again, the time belongs to
Reclaiming my time.
The time belongs.
I think it's very
Reclaiming
interesting.
my time.
I think it's very
Reclaiming my
interesting.
time.
You can
When he
reclaim your
talks
time.
about they
Reclaiming my time,
indicted,
Mr.
the
Chairman.
president said they indicted him
Mr.
twice.
Chairman, please
They
stop the
sure
clock
did.
and stop the clock and restore his time.
Okay, here we go.
Committee will be in order.
Theatrics.
The time belongs to the gentleman from New York. We will give you a few more seconds. We will do that. But when you ask a question, the witness gets to answer. You may not like the answer, but she gets to
The
answer.
question was, how many of Epstein's...
They don't like the answer, Chairman,
my time.
because it's honest.
Reclaiming
So
my-
he asked a
reclaiming my
4-minute
time.
question.
Restore 45
and
seconds,
I am
Mr. Nadler,
going
please,
to
Mr. Chairman.
answer.
You can let her filibuster all day long, but not on our watch.
Reclaiming-
Not on our time. No way. And I told you about that, Attorney General, before you started.
You don't tell me
No, I
anything,
did tell you because we
washed
saw
up
what you did in the
loser
Senate.
Lawyer, not even a lawyer.
Committee will be in order.
Time, and I should get back at least 45 seconds.
We will give you a few more seconds. I said that already.
45 seconds.
Okay, I'm timing right now, Mr. Nadler.
All
Reclaiming
right.
my time. The answer...
It's moments like this. It's moments like this where I genuinely get confused about how these grown adults that run our these are the people. I want to point this out. If you're an American citizen watching this with me, this is how the most powerful and the highest branch of our governance is being run. The ones that handle legalese, they handle all this stuff. This is what they're doing. They're arguing. They're just as if they are high schoolers or children. This is what it is. It's not the second day, so I didn't watch the one from yesterday in full. So
To my question, how many of Epstein's co-conspirators has she indicted, is 0. You have been the Attorney General for a whole year, and your DOJ fired the lead prosecutor of this case, sat on evidence this entire time, and claimed falsely last July that there were no more leads. It took an act of Congress for you to finally release part of the Epstein files, and when you did, you included personal information about the victims while protecting the names of abusers.
Time of the gentleman
None
has
the perpetrators have been
expired.
brought to justice, but enormous resources
Time of the
dedicated to
gentleman has
President Trump's
expired,
efforts.
and
It's
obviously
clear that under your leadership, the Department of Justice
there was
no longer
no
works for
question in
American
there.
people. It works
Order
for Donald
respond to.
Trump. I yield back.
The gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
I think our next questioner, Madam Attorney General, is going to give you time to respond to
Thank you, Chairman.
all kinds of things. So we will turn to the gentleman from Texas for 5 minutes.
Ms. Bondi, you go right ahead. Over here. The time is yours.
Thank you. First, he brought up the president saying they indicted me twice. They sure did. They tried to impeach him twice. And you, Mr. Nadler, were one of the leads on the impeachment. I was on the other side. I lived that with you. During impeachment, you said the president conspired, sought foreign interference in the 2016 election. Robert Mueller found no evidence, none, of foreign interference in 2016. Have you apologized to President Trump? Have you apologized to President Trump, all of you who participated in those impeachment hearings against Donald Trump? You all should be apologizing. You sit here and you attack the president, and I am not going to have it. I'm not going to put up with it. You know, all they want to do, all the American people need to know this. They are talking about Epstein today. This has been around since the Obama administration. This administration released over 3 million pages of documents, over 3 million. And Donald Trump signed that law to release all of those documents. He is the most transparent president in the nation's history.
So I've seen this a lot, and a lot of people defend this point, and I want to talk about this because I have words to say about this. I am very happy that they release 3 million files. Over the moon, they released 3 million files. That's great. That's cool. That's space dandy. However, you now have to do the work that comes after the release because you can't just open the floodgates and not contain the flood, right? You have to actually pursue people. You can release the file as much as you want to. That's great. We know about it now. You know, you're draining the swamp, but now you have to do the reconstruction of what comes after draining the swamp. Now it's marshlands. You know, you got to build something on top of the swamp you drained, right? Is that what you wish to do? And I'm over the moon. You released 3 million that people are probably not going to get through for another week or a month. It's a lot to get through. But I'm asking you, as a real person, what does that accomplish? I want to see people being tried as criminals. I want the names tied to these files to actually face consequences. I am happy that you released it. Those past administrations, whether it be Obama, whether it be Joe Biden, they suck. That's good. But you suck too because you just released it. Now do the part that matters, which is, you know, going after the criminals. That's the important part. That's the important part. All right? Obama had 8 years and Biden had 4. They both suck. Great. I'm happy. They both suck. We all agree they all suck, right? Right? I'm not defending politicians. I'm never going to do that. They all suck. I'm not arguing with you if they suck or not. I'm not arguing about that. These guys have done great work. Good for them. I'm so proud of them. Right? I'm so proud of them for doing the work. Now, do the important part of the work. Don't quit halfway through. Do the best part of the work, which is actually getting people in jail. That would be great, right? Wouldn't that be important? Right? Right? Wouldn't that be great? That'd be amazing. You can't do half the work. You can't have your cake and eat it too. You can't do that. You can't do that. It's ridiculous.
And none of them.
And I hate when people come here and they say, well, what about Obama? What about this? You worship Obama. I don't worship the other. I don't care about a black president. I don't care about Biden. I don't care about none of that. I care about powerful people that have treated me as if I am cattle for my entire life. My parents as if they're cattle. The American people as if they are garbage and trash my entire life. That's what I care about. That's what I care about. I care about that. That's the most important thing to me. I want to see actual progress be done. I don't want to just see, oh, look at this delicious cake. Well, can I have a bite? No, you can't have a bite of this cake. You can't have a bite of this cake. But we get to eat the cake, and we get to tell you that this cake is delicious. Amazing. Show us the cake's delicious, right? Please. I beg of you. I beg of you.
ask Merrick Garland over the last 4 years one word about Jeffrey Epstein. How ironic is that? You know why? Because Donald Trump, the Dow right now is over. The Dow is over $50,000. I don't know why you're laughing. You're a great stock trader, as I hear, Raskin. The Dow is over 50,000 right now. The S&P.
I'm sorry, did I go into psychosis? So I must have. This is where she brought up the Dow. Why is she? This caught me off guard. She's bringing up the economy. Caught me off guard.
At almost 7,000. And the NASDAQ smashing records. Americans' 401ks and retirement savings are booming. That's what we should be talking about. We should be talking about making Americans safe.
What's the Dow at right now? I'm sorry. Let's look at it right now. This was a day ago. What's the Dow? Well, it went a little bit lower. Went a little lower. Still pretty high. Still pretty high, but it did go a bit lower. It was at 50,000, then it went lower. But she did tell the truth. That is a factual statement. I give her that, sure.
We should be talking about, what does a Dow have to do with anything? That's what they just asked. Are you kidding?
Mr. Jordan,
So I'm happy that 401k and retirements are booming, but can we focus on the future of our nation? Like, you still won't reduce housing costs. That's the thing. I don't know. I don't care about what old people are doing. I care about what's happening for the future of our betterment of our generation. I want to plant trees whose shade I will no longer know the comfort of. We don't care about that. Like, it's insane. It just seems insane. The market dips in the middle of the week. It does dip. You're right about that, Death. I'll give you that. It does dip. It does dip. It does dip. Let's pass the Save America Act. We did pass the Save America Act. That was already passed. I think. I think the Save America Act was passed for the ID registration for a bunch of people and stuff of that variety. That was passed. For voting, we did pass that. We passed that already.
Jordan.
Committee will be in order.
Mr. Jordan, am I going to get an extra 45 seconds added to my time?
The committee will be in order. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas.
Oh, the Senate won't pass it yet? Hopefully the Senate passes that. That'd be great.
Bondi, the Attorney General can respond.
Thank you. The Dow has shattered 50,000 for the first time. This is crazy. They said.
Okay, I don't know why she's talking about it, though, right? Okay, I understand that it's important and the stock market is important. I just don't get why she's talking about it during the Epstein stuff. Yeah, I can acknowledge you've done good things, but it doesn't detract from the fact that you're not doing the things that we want, right? I just don't get it. I just don't understand why you're continually do that. It doesn't make any sense to me.
It couldn't be done in 4 years, yet President Trump has done it in 1 year. National median rents have fallen to a 4-year low thanks to Donald Trump. That's why they want to focus on Epstein and our most transparent president in the nation's history. The murder rate, as I said, has plummeted to a 125-year low.
Yeah, it's at 1.5 times speed, yeah.
Thanks to Donald Trump. For an unprecedented 9 straight months, there were 0 illegal border crossings at the southern border. That's what we should be focused on. All the great work that this president has done and will continue to do.
I gotta you know what? I respect that, because if somebody brings up my faults, I'm gonna bring up what I'm good at too. That's just a natural manipulation and deflection tactic. I gotta respect that because I do the same exact thing. Hey, Saros, you're not doing good at this job. Hold up a second, I filled the napkins. Can we talk about the napkins? Yeah, but you have been ignoring customers for 3 days. Yeah, but I filled those napkins. I filled the pop machine too. As a matter of fact, I changed out the pop. Let's talk about that. That's important. I think that's exactly what I would do. I mean, I love dodging accountability. It's really fun. I'll give you that. I mean, show of hands, who wouldn't do this? Am I right, fellas? Who wouldn't do that? I'd do it. 100%. Hey, babe, we've been in the bedroom for years and you haven't made me climax once. Hold on. But I did. Can we focus on the important part? I did. Huh? Come on. Come on now. Huh? 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 I did. Let's focus on the important thing. I'm good. I'm good. Right? Right?
Keep America safe and to make Americans safe.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi. I agree with you totally. I think you've done a fine job. I think that Democrats, in fact, should be apologizing to the Epstein victims for doing nothing.
G-spot, what about my me spot? That's the greatest thing I've heard on. It's crazy.
During the 4 years that they were running the government, we did not hear about this, and it took you and President Trump to finally provide transparency and give answers to the American people, and I want to thank you for that. I want to thank you also for standing up for truth today and for fighting back against the theatrics and the time waste that you will endure over the next hour or two. I want to apologize on behalf of my colleagues on the left. They're not all that bad, but they've got to put on a show. And I'm sorry that you have to go through that. And I would like to yield the last, I'd say 40, but 40 is 80 seconds. The clock says 40, but I've got 80 seconds since I was so rudely interrupted, and I'll give all 80 seconds to Chairman Jordan.
And I would just yield to the Attorney General if she has anything to add.
I'm fine to continue. Thank you,
All
Chairman.
right, the chair now recognizes, the gentleman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentlelady from California.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I would note that Mr. Nadler's question has not yet been answered, but I want to start by asking that out of respect for the American public and the Epstein survivors, some of whom, of course, are here today, that we can have a transparent conversation and get the public the answers they deserve. I want to briefly direct your attention to two documents I'm hoping we will put up on the screen. In the
Right back to Epstein. Hey, I'm so proud of you for doing all that stuff. Let's go right back to Epstein, buddy.
First, an individual emails Jeffrey Epstein asking whether a woman identified as M was pro or civilian, and Epstein responds that she was a civilian, Russian, and fun. In the second email, Epstein writes to Steve Tisch about a Ukrainian girl, noting that she was, quote, a little freaked out by the age difference and stating that he would try to convince her not to return to Ukraine. He then instructs Mr. Tisch to call him, adding, I don't like records of these conversations. So I'd like to ask a straightforward question that really is either a yes or no answer. Do these emails constitute credible evidence, not proof, but credible evidence warranting further investigation into whether Steve Tisch was involved in Epstein's criminal conduct? Do you think yes or no?
I'm not going to play a yes-no game with you, but I will answer the question to the best of my ability. As I said, we will look and investigate any case involving any victim. I'm not familiar, there were 3 million pages, of course, with that email, but of course, we will look into anything. The documents have been released, 3 million, the redacted versions, we should left them open for all of you to come view. I believe you viewed them, if not, will you have some copies?
I'd like to.
But can I finish?
I believe you viewed them. Yeah, she viewed them. That's why she's asking you about them. Yeah, she viewed them. That's why she's asking you about the documents. I'm so confused.
That's so manipulative. I'm not gonna play a yes or no game.
I'm not gonna play a yes or no game, dude. It is a yes or no question. Do you want steak or hummus?
No, because yes or no is incriminating. She says yes, then she has to do something. She says no, then she has to do something.
That's crazy. Oh my god. She didn't view them from the DNC.
Statement, then she don't have to worry about anything.
She didn't view them. The DNC gave her talking points. She's viewing them right now, brother. She's viewing them right now. Even if it's a talking point, she's viewing them right now. Who would pick hummus over steak? I would. Since she doesn't know the case. It's not a yes or no since she doesn't know the case. Death, you can... This is important. I appreciate you... I appreciate you going to war for Pam Bondi. But this is high-key embarrassing. She doesn't have the documents in front of her. They're on screen, best buddy. They're on screen, best buddy. Like, right, they're on screen. They're on screen. This is like important. And I'm not even against you right now. I'm not even against you, but this is like high key embarrassing, is it not? This is high key embarrassing.
Please, I'm not being rude.
I only
please.
have 5 minutes.
No, yeah, and I only have 30 seconds based on your filibuster.
But you didn't give a yes or no answer, so let me just go further. Director Patel testified in this committee room that there was no credible information indicating that Epstein trafficked victims to anyone else. And glancing at the documents, that proves that's not the case. In July, your department issued a memo stating that it had conducted an exhaustive review of the Epstein files and concluded that no additional individuals would be charged. So I did go over to the Department of Justice yesterday. I would note that 400 and all our 35 members are in the House, and there's 4 computers. So it would take many months to actually have the time.
Yeah, embarrassing your both, but worse for Dems that are sitting at 13% approval rating. 100%. I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm not disagreeing. They both suck. But Pam Bondi still looks garbage here. They both suck. Like I'm not disagreeing with you. They both suck. Like they both suck. Like Pam Bondi looks significantly worse though. Like I don't care about the Dems overall. Pam Bondi looks trash because she has said for months we went through everything. You don't need to look at anything because we went through everything. And then only to discover that they didn't go through everything. And now we're having to look, as the public, we are having to do the work for the Department of Justice. We, the American people, and then I want to point this out. This isn't even a political issue, mind you. The Epstein files are not a political issue. They're not a political issue. It turned into a political issue. It turned into a political issue. The Epstein files are not a political issue. It got turned into a political issue. That's why I'm confused right now. because it has turned into this whole brouhaha of what it actually means. This is just Epstein class people, the rich and powerful, that should have been tried by the Department of Justice, but the Department of Justice turned this now into this whole fiasco. That's what's happening. It happened with the Obama administration, happened with the Biden administration, and now it's happening with the Trump administration. All of them suck. I am not defending any Democrat. I'm not defending any Republican. I'm not going to war about this. I'm going to war specifically against the rich and powerful. And if you want to defend the rich and powerful over semantics, that's stupid. That's dumb. I don't care about that. I don't care about that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
Only had a few hours. I think the transparency argument is really kind of a sham because it's not really
Whoa,
possible.
Did you have to wait to get
It is not possible to really go in. I did, however, see a U.S. attorney information for the Southern District of New York indicating that there were additional survivors and probable co-conspirators. Other members of Congress had uncovered likely co-conspirators whose names were blocked out. Now, the Epstein File Transparency Act, which all but one member of this House voted for and the president signed, requires the department to release everything except that it needs to be redacted to protect the victims or an ongoing prosecution, which apparently there is none from the testimony we have received. I am concerned.
You know, you're right, Bill Knight of Science, the Bounty Guy. I have not considered reclaiming your time. I got to reclaim my time. I'm sorry. What is your stream about? Hey, Nice Cup. I'm just going through and actually watching the entire live testimony and going through and seeing Pam Bondi crashing out. So that's what I'm doing.
Concerned that this act has not been fully complied with. When Director Patel came to the committee, he admitted that up to 1,000 FBI agents had gone through the files and redacted President Trump's name from them. And it's pretty clear that what has been transmitted from the FBI continues to redact President Trump's name, even though he is mentioned thousands of times in these files. So I think the credibility of the department in terms of complying with the act has been damaged. And I think the department's credibility has been damaged in other ways. I think we all saw the horrible video of American citizens.
I'm going to speed this up a little bit because it is kind of draining. And I think we can all understand what she's saying if it's higher speed.
Being killed by ICE agents in Minneapolis. And I think how the department has handled these cases raises a lot of doubt about the department. State and local police in Minnesota got a court order to get access to the crime scene to be sure evidence would be properly preserved by federal agents. But they took the agents defied the court order, and in a departure from general policy, the DOJ is not collaborating with state and local law enforcement on these homicides. So I really think that is a disgraceful approach to the homicides of American citizens, and really does nothing to bring credit to your department. And Mr. Chairman, I would yield back.
Gentleman yields back.
May I answer?
Attorney General can respond.
I find it interesting that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And if they could maintain their composure.
Wait. Let's roll. I gotta listen to that again. I gotta hear that. That's incredible. Hold on.
I find it interesting
Normal speed for this. Hold on.
that she keeps going after President Trump, the greatest president in American history. And
that's the greatest thing I've ever heard. That's the greatest thing I've ever heard. By approval rating, she ain't wrong. Should I listen to the AI breakdown saying that he had the lowest recorded for a single term? Should I do that? Should I listen to or should I do some more research? I'm just curious. I just want to figure this out. I just want to figure this out. John F. Kennedy had the highest. I'm just curious here. What should because now I'm I have somebody in Twitch chat saying that he had based on approval ratings. I'm just kind of curious. Hey, dude. Yeah, I slept last night. It's pretty low. I'm kind of curious as to what What is that? I might be stupid. I might be dumb. Not the AI overview. I'm trying to find the place where I can find it immediately. Where else can I find it? Because his approval ratings are not that good. I'm sorry. I want to go back to that guy. What's his name? What was your name? I'm so sorry. Um, Death from Above. Are you sure about that? Are you back? I am back to crazy here. Are you sure about that? Am I stupid? Maybe I'm dumb. Maybe I don't know. If I'm wrong, I'll accept that I'm wrong. I'm not trying to attack you. I just want to know um just curious here. I just want to know. Yeah, I don't know. It doesn't look that good. I don't know. I did hear about that. Yeah, they're not doing approval ratings anymore. So, if you would like to back up that point or provide proof, so we are Miss Bunny. We are. What brand color? All right.
And if they could
Gonna keep going.
maintain their composure, this isn't a circus, this is a hearing. I find it interesting she keeps going after Donald Trump. She doesn't say how much money she took from Reid Hoffman, did you? None. And nor did
Mr.
she
Chairman,
post
regular
anything.
order, please.
She
Regular order.
posted nothing on her X account, on her Twitter account.
I just got whiplash. I'm so sorry. Did I hear that right?
Please.
She
Regular
posted
order.
nothing on her X account, on her Twitter account.
Okay. Just wanted to get that out of the way. Why does that matter? Why does that is that important? Is that important? I don't care about the I just want to know, is that important to post? Do politicians now have to post on their extra Twitter account about is that what they have to do? I feel like I feel like that's juvenile. Is that not juvenile? Am I stupid? Just feels strange.
During the Biden years.
Gentlelady.
Yet now, all of a sudden,
question
she's
asked.
going after
Committee will be in
point of
order.
There was no
Committee will be
question
in
on
order.
the Attorney General. She doesn't just get to
Committee will be in order.
I have a point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Committee will be in order.
Point of order, Mr. Chairman.
Gentlelady can state her point of order.
When a witness attacks,
Not a valid point of order. You got to state.
She hasn't completed her point of order yet. Please let her speak, Mr. Chairman. Let's have some regular order here.
Regular order is you got to state the rule. And she
I am
didn't do it.
trying to make a point of order that the witness.
They only do turns, but at all important benchmarks, he was above everyone except the 1 year mark. But at all important benchmarks, he was above everyone except the 1 year mark. Really? Really? Is that true? I wanna if that's true, I'll take it. I mean, I'll listen to you. Um, I feel this may seem crazy, and this may seem insane. I'm feeling like maybe you're wrong. I'm feeling like maybe you're wrong. But which one is wrong? The being above during the year and the 1 year mark. CNN's number, not mine. Okay, I'm just gonna go back to the files. I don't want to talk about the approval rating. Maybe you got maybe you got something on me. I don't want to. Just gonna keep
Who are
going.
you referring to?
Without responding to a question, has attacked me personally. I think it's pathetic that she can't answer the questions and
First
instead
time
is attacking
that is not even close
members
to a
of the
point of
committee.
order. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
In August of last year, I sent a letter to the Department of Justice asking for assistance in seeking compensation for the town of Lac du Flambeau. Town of Lac du Flambeau is in my district, and
That's not a real town. I just want to point that that's not a real town. He made that word up. Let's keep going.
Your office replied that it was an ongoing matter and unable to comment on it, which I understand. That's just fine. But I want to set this up.
Mr. Tiffany is a tough name. I want that last name.
Just as a reminder. So 3 years ago, it was at this time of year that 4 roads were blockaded in the town of Lac de Flambeau, and the temperature was 25 below zero. People had to park their cars at a neighbor's place, take the snowmobile across the lake to get their car, and then be able to drive into town. There were people 80 and 90 years old that could not, were very concerned that they'd be able to get emergency medical services. And the perpetrators of this, the tribe out there, they demanded compensation from the town. I would call it extortion. They ultimately got $600,000 from the town of Lac de Flambeau. The unfortunate part, Mr. Chairman, is that the Biden administration took the side of the perpetrators who closed those roads off, and the Biden administration made it clear to the town of Lac de Flambeau that we are not on your side in regards to this. Well, fortunately, there was a federal judge that said, no, this is wrong, what happened, and these roads should be left open. They should continue to be left open.
Oh, sorry.
My question to you is, are you willing to work with my office and with the town of Lac de Flambeau to further investigate this matter and seek compensation from the tribal government after their extortion of $600,000 from this little town in northern Wisconsin?
Congressman, you do a great job representing your district, and yes, we would more than welcome working with you, and we are familiar with that investigation.
Mr. Chairman, I would just add, we're highlighting these miscarriages of justice in the
Oh, 100%. I hope they get their money, I suppose. I mean, I don't really know the case behind that, but I hope they get what they deserve, I guess.
previous administration. This is just another one of those small examples, no different than the Catholic Diocese in Richmond and many others that you have retold so many times. But here's another instance of what they did to a small town. And
so, you know, this is going to sound crazy. This is going to sound nuts. You know how people continually tell people to stay updated on politics? You see how, like, genuinely boring this stuff is, where he's talking about the town of Lac de Flambeau, the fake town, and Cummings is a real place. I've been there. I'm there every night. It's just Lac de Flambeau is, it just, like, this situation bores me. You know what I mean? Right? I know we should stay updated on politics, and it's really important to do that. So, I don't, it's going to sound crazy. Don't care about this. It's so insignificant to me hearing about this man in his town. And if you're from the town of Lac de Flambeau and you care about this a lot, I'm so sorry that your town is so boring. So I'm going to go back to this. I'm going to pee.
bankrupted them as a result of it. Fortunately, there was a federal judge that saw through it and has fixed it. I want to move on to fraud enforcement. You've established a National Fraud Enforcement Division. Is that correct, Madam Attorney General?
Yes, Congressman.
Has this new division begun any investigations and getting after those individuals that have committed the rampant fraud we've seen, like in Minnesota?
Well, it's not only rampant in Minnesota, it's rampant throughout this country. Much of it is in California, as you know, and other places. Yes, we are working on it actively. Our criminal fraud division has been working on it. We are expanding that. It was the Vice President's idea to come up with this amazing separate fraud division, which we are establishing and going nonstop, not only to expose the fraud in Minnesota, but around the country. It's taxpayer dollars that have been stolen from the American people, and we are committed to recovering that money and holding those people accountable.
Mr. Chairman, I would remind everyone here, why did this happen in Minneapolis? Why did federal law enforcement have to go to Minneapolis? Because of industrial scale fraud. It was an assistant United States attorney that said, this is industrial scale fraud that's going on in Minnesota at this point. I sent a letter to our governor in Wisconsin. We're right across the border there. My district is only 20 miles from the city of Minneapolis. And I asked him to open the books for a federal audit on food stamps and Medicaid. Don't you think it would be a good idea for every governor to do that at this point?
It protects the citizens, and I can't understand why that's not happening. And yes, I do think that's a great idea. It's happening around this country. And when our new division with college, we're going to continue
just
to make sure that
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Tennessee.
She's so composed when it comes to the Epstein stuff. Well, when it comes to anything that's not about the Epstein stuff, she's so composed about that. So composed.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First, I'd like to thank you for holding this hearing and for doing it from Memphis, General Bondi. And Memphis does have the task force there. The Memphis Safe Task Force has been operating in Memphis for several months. And we do have a Democratic Mayor, Paul Young. And he's not against the task force, but he's against ICE being in Memphis. And he's not in favor of the National Guard being in Memphis. And I concur with him on those positions. I think the DEA being there, the Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, the FBI, who have been in Memphis in other ways, having more people there is good for Memphis. Crime has gone down in Memphis, but it went down 25% before the task force got there under the direction of Mayor Young and Director Davis, Chief Davis. It's gone down about 15% more since then. And that's good. But I would like to comment that Mexico City's homicide rate has gone down 40% during the same time when Memphis has only gone down 25%. And that's not necessarily because of the task force, although the mayor says he thinks it's helped. So I thank you for that. You would agree, I presume, that violent crime in communities...
our FBI, under the leadership of Director Patel, came in and did a surge in Memphis.
Earlier.
Pam Bondi is 60? She's 60 years old? She kind of eats for 60. I'm not going to lie. I didn't even know that. She kind of eats for 60. She looks pretty good for 60. I didn't know that. I mean, like, she's a horrible, evil person, but I can't. No, I'm not going to discredit, that accolade. She looks good. I mean, like, she looks good for 60. That's, is that how I'm saying it? I mean, like, say what you want about her. I mean, I mean, she has to be elected. They do so she doesn't care how she looks. She looks pretty good. I mean, that's good for 60. You see a close up of her is horrifying. As a close up, not bad. Not bad at 60. Now I've seen a close up. I can see the wrinkles. Not bad, I guess. I mean, I just want to tell you that.
Yes, prior to the task force. And thank you for saying that about Mayor Young. He's been great to work with, and thank you.
He's a good guy.
He's a very good guy.
One problem I've got with where we are in priorities here. A recent Department of Justice National Institute of Justice report based on arrest records in Texas and in California found that undocumented immigrants were less than half as likely as U.S.-born Americans to be arrested for homicide. And this pattern holds for assault, sexual assault, robbery, burglary, theft, and arson.
Okay,
half
all
as
right,
likely
man.
to be arrested.
We get it. You want to get the illegal immigrants out. We get it.
Hand up yours.
Give me
You should investigate anybody who uses a weapon, federal official or not.
For 5 minutes. Madam Attorney General, you're not allowed to exercise your constitutional rights in a way that tramples on someone else's, are you?
No.
No, you can't do that. I mean, you have a right to petition the government under the First Amendment. That doesn't mean you can come into this room and start screaming at Mr. Raskin or me or anybody else and disrupt a congressional hearing. You have a right to protest on the street, but that doesn't give you a right to go into the Capitol and disrupt Congress. Something these guys talk about every day. You can't do that. So when Don Lemon said that he was exercising his First Amendment free press rights, freedom of the press rights, that's not really accurate because he was trampling on other individuals' rights. Is that true?
Chairman, we will always protect our churches and the freedom of religion. And yes, that's accurate.
First right mentioned under the First Amendment, freedom of religion. Freedom to practice your faith the way you think the good Lord wants you to, right?
That's right, under the federal government.
And isn't it true that Mr. Lemon met at a shopping center with the rioters who entered City's church in St. Paul, met with them prior to marching to the church?
He did meet, and this is a pending case right now, so I will only stick to what is in the four corners of the unsealed indictment, if I could, Chairman.
Yeah,
There's a lot more that will come out. But under the four corners of the indictment, yes, he did. They had an operation called Operation Pull-Up. They said they were gearing for a resistance.
Anything that's not about the Epstein files, she is not vehemently arguing. It's really interesting. Like she's literally getting them bastard right now about this church guy, and she's very composed. It's interesting.
They met in a parking lot and they caravanned to a church on a Sunday morning when people were worshiping together.
Mr. Lemon said that he live streamed before entering the church with the rioters. Didn't he say we're going to head to the operation? Didn't he say this on? He said this on camera. Is that right?
Yes, Chairman,
yeah.
And more.
That he was in Minnesota and that, as you said, they were gearing up for an operation. So, you can't do that. This is why this is, I think, so important that this guy be held accountable, and I think why you guys have charged him and indicted him. Moving to the second subject here. Will John Brennan be indicted? Mr. Brennan lied to the committee, which you're not supposed to do. Last Congress, when we deposed him, he definitely, 18 U.S.C. 1001, we're all familiar with it. He lied to the committee, and the Congress, I think the country would like to know if, in fact, he's going to be indicted for lying to. And here's why it's so important. I'll give you a chance to respond. Here's why it's so important. It wasn't just that he lied to us, it's what he lied to us about. He lied to us about when all this weaponization against the President of the United States started. He lied to us about the dossier, and specifically what role the dossier played in the intelligence community assessment. Because we know back when President Trump was first elected, first term, this is when it all started, which led to the Mueller, into the impeachment, into the Jack Smith, and all the stuff that's happened in the last decade. But it began here, and he lied to Congress about the role he played. And I just want to read a couple of things he said during that deposition before I give you a chance.
Brother, I don't care about this at all.
This wasn't good. The same officer says, he said, yes, but doesn't it ring true? So this is
assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from the personnel assigned to the task of identifying and scrubbing Donald Trump's name from the Epstein files. Were those reports accurate?
I believe his name has appeared countless times in the documents that have been released. If I could finish, I'm going to read you the stats.
I just simply asked.
I will give this. They are interrupting the crap out of her. They just need to let her answer and dig herself in her grave.
Whether or not it was true that it was 1,000 folks who were assigned that task. Were those reports accurate?
There are more than 500 attorneys and reviewers. I cannot give you an exact number.
And I wanted to ask you about that also, because this is a different question that you're getting to now. There were 500 DOJ lawyers and others assigned the task of redacting the appropriate information, including identities of the Epstein victim survivors from the Epstein files prior to their release. 500, is that correct?
If I could have finished my answer, there were more than 500 attorneys and reviewers who assisted with the. They asked a question and they don't want an answer.
That answers my question, ma'am, and I'm going to move on. I'm going to move on.
From
General Bondi, would you agree?
Time belongs to the gentleman from Georgia.
General Bondi, would you agree that your 8 years of service as the state of Florida's Attorney General, the third largest state in the nation, served as an excellent preparation for your current role as Attorney General for the United States of America?
Not only that, I was a career prosecutor for 18 years.
And for
18 years.
And for 18 years,
You ask a question and doesn't want an answer. This is theatrics.
Well, no, for 18 years, you prosecuted serious felony cases, including drug cases, correct?
Oh, I prosecuted homicides. I prosecuted capital cases. I prosecuted domestic violence cases. I prosecuted multiple cases, and that's why I feel for all of these victims. And did you ask Merrick Garland this when you were sitting before him, sir?
You also prosecuted sexual assault cases and child sex trafficking cases, correct?
I answered that question earlier. I prosecuted multiple cases when I was prosecutor.
Bottom line, you're an experienced and seasoned.
For 18 years.
Mr. Chairman, will you reminder of the rules? The time belongs to the member of the committee.
You are a seasoned and experienced prosecutor, correct?
I think we've established that.
Yes or no?
Does he want an answer or not?
He wants to say
I want a yes or no answer.
I think he wants to say
yes or no answer, but I'll live with what you have already said. Let me ask you this question. In the prosecution of sexual assault cases, you are acutely aware of how important it is to protect the identity of victims of sexual assault, correct?
I have addressed this multiple times. I think others were cutting me off when I was trying to.
I just simply asked, are you aware of the fact that it's vitally important to protect the identity of sexual assault victims as you prosecute the people they accuse of assaulting them? Isn't that correct?
Excuse me. As we have said multiple times,
protection of the identity
all victims
of the victims
are
is so
protected.
very
You are protected under. Do you want me to answer or do you want to interrupt?
Well, because you're not answering the question. You do a Jekyll and Hyde kind of routine around here, and I just want you to answer my questions.
What does Jekyll and Hyde mean? Can you
explain that? Well, it means you're nice to the Republicans and you turn like Hyde on.
I will say this: she's not giving like a yes or a no answer.
She's not.
It's so interesting. Please explain Jekyll and Hyde. Let me regale you with the tale of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde.
On Democrats, but let me ask you this, ma'am. We have the Epstein victim survivors here today. Representative Jayapal asked a simple question: if you would be so kind and honorable as to turn around and face them and apologize to them for outing them. I mean, how many lives have been derailed because your department was either sloppy and incompetent or willfully trying to intimidate and punish these ladies coming forward?
The time of the gentleman has expired. The gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Wisconsin for 5 minutes.
Attorney General Bondi, my colleagues on the other side of the aisle have spent the past several months attacking the administration for doing exactly what the American people wanted when they overwhelmingly elected President Trump, securing our border and enforcing our immigration laws. I find it a bit ironic because this is the same party who, just a few years ago, were openly supporting strong immigration enforcement after witnessing criminal illegal aliens wreak havoc on the American.
Yeah, we get it. Democrats suck too. We get it. Yeah, Obama sucks. They all suck. Bill Clinton sucks. Yeah, we get it. They are garbage. They are complete trash. And she's gonna answer this question immediately.
Congressman, President Trump has worked tirelessly, as you know, to close.
We get it. I get it. I understand. I understand that. Now it's your turn.
Earlier to Mr. Johnson that President Trump was mentioned and the release countless times you said in the Epstein files. I just want to play a video though for you that I think speaks to the frustration that many of these victims have. Times Trump's name appears in the files, so it could at least be 1,000 times. Is that right?
The number is a total misleading factor. We have not released anyone's.
Where did my boy come from? Where did Cash Patel come from? I didn't know Cash Money Patel was here. Yo, is that Cash Money Patel? I didn't know. Where did he come from? Cash Money Patel? Where did Cash Money Patel come from? Where did he come from? Oh, what? I didn't know he was here. Yo, this is going to be worse. I didn't know he was here. Where did he... Cash Money Patel? What? Patel from the top ropes? Patelli? Where did Patelli come from? I didn't see. Oh, my God. I didn't really... he came out of nowhere. What?
We have not released anyone's name in the Epstein files that has not been credible. We have released every piece of legally permissible information.
Okay,
you can characterize the numbers however you want it.
Claiming my time, Director. It sounds like if you don't know the number, it could at least be 1,000 times.
It's not. It's not.
Is it at least 500 times?
No.
Is it at least 100 times?
No.
Then what's the number?
Is that an older clip? It might be an older clip.
I don't know the number.
I understand why the victims are frustrated, and the Attorney General acknowledged what Mr. Patel would not acknowledge, that it was way more than 1,000 times. But I want to move, Madam Attorney General, to weaponization of government. And yesterday it was reported that 6 members of Congress had indictments sought against him, and they were not returned by a grand jury. My colleagues have spoken about their frustration of being in subpoenas and having cell phone records combed through. Well, in 2017 and 2018, Adam Schiff and I had our cell phone records and email records combed through, not by you, but a different Department of Justice under the President. It was in retaliation for our role in the Russia interference.
I'm not going to insult Cash Patel on his strabismus. in any capacity. Strabismus is when your eyes are not correlated and the muscles in your eyes are not doing so hot. That's strabismus. I'm not gonna insult him on his strabismus, which is cross-eyedness and slightness. I'm not gonna do that to him because that doesn't do anything for me. I'm gonna insult him for everything horrible he's done as the director of the FBI. That is he just sucked. He just sucked overall. That's what I'm gonna do.
Campaign, an inspector general report would find this improper and that the predicate for it was absurd. In 2020, after sitting on 2 committees that were a part of the president's first impeachment, an FBI agent leaked my cooperation in a national security case where my campaign was targeted. The president's FBI senior leadership authorized 2 statements to the press that said I was never suspected of wrongdoing and only helped the investigation. But that didn't stop the death threats or my GOP colleagues from referring me to an ethics investigation where Kevin McCarthy's chairman on the ethics committee would find the same thing as the FBI. Our current FBI director would then write a book called Government Gangsters and identify a long list of enemies. About a quarter of them have been either investigated or indicted. He listed me at the very top along with Adam Schiff, and during that same testimony refused to recuse himself when asked if he would recuse if any case came across his desk involving me or people on that list. Since that testimony, his department has put me under investigation with Senator Schiff for the nonsense mortgage fraud cases that we've seen. I get it. This is what the president does. I've priced it in. We have a bingo card at home that my kids have made of what will come next. I expected that the president would come after his enemies. But what I want to talk to you next is serious. I did not expect this would happen, and I'd like your help on it. The president has inspired death threats against me and many sitting up here with me. In June 2025, an individual left 11 voicemails at my district office. On the voicemails, they said, get the message to him. I'm going to hunt him down, that motherfucker, and toss his ass over the Golden Gate Bridge by my fucking self. Donald Trump's Department of Justice in the Northern District of California declined to prosecute. On May 14, 2025, on Twitter, responding to something I posted, an individual said, no, it wasn't, Eric, and now I'm going to kill you. The Department of Justice from the Southern District of Texas declined to prosecute. May through December of 2025, we received messages at my office that said, I hope somebody shoots you and your children and your wife in the head. Pew, pew, motherfucker, pew, pew. I would stay indoors as much as possible, and my children, unfortunately, have to do that. The Department of Justice has not charged this individual and cited that he's a prolific caller and has health conditions, although what we have found in our own investigation and his voicemails is that he has said he will employ others to do this. The president can come after me. It's fine. I'm in the arena. So are these folks. But we never expected that the Department of Justice would not seek to prosecute and investigate those who are making threats against us, and that would include those on that side of the aisle. And I'm just asking for your help to protect life because life is at risk with the environment we're in right now.
Congressman, I completely agree with you. I know about several of those personally involving you. I believe one has been charged publicly, and there's something I would be happy to talk to you about off camera, but I can assure you that they are very serious. They are being looked into, and I can give you more details on
off camera. Talk about it right now. That's why he's asking on camera. He's very comfortable talking about this on camera. Talk about it right now.
None of you should be threatened, ever. None of your children should be threatened. None of your families should be threatened. And I will work with, you can come into my office any day. I will work with all of you on both sides of the aisle if you are ever threatened. And I'll gladly talk to you after this hearing about your cases. But I can tell you some of them are very active.
Appreciate that. And yield back.
Gentleman yields back, and we're sorry for what the gentleman and his family had to go through. We appreciate what the Attorney General said. And I think some of the things that the gentleman from California related, we can all relate to. And it's unfortunate, it's wrong, as the Attorney General said, and we appreciate the help we get from the Justice Department. With that, we will now recognize the gentleman from New Jersey, Mr. Van Drew.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't know where to begin. Thank you for being here, General. You might see me when I'm right in front of you. I have to mention this first. You know, I used this word before, and my friends on the other side of the aisle got mad at me, but hypocrisy. Epstein, Epstein, Epstein. But for years on the other side of the aisle, we heard nothing. Crickets, not a word. Nothing was said when they were in control. Nothing was mentioned basically till last summer, and the ranking member points out that he did do something last year. Yeah, he did a letter complaining about the plea deal for Maxwell, but it wasn't a big deal. Then we get a new administration, and all of a sudden it's a big deal, and they feign concern, they're upset, they're investigating. They had all these years and all this time. And in fact, Stacey Plaskett, and we all know that name, when they had a congressional hearing, Democratic member, were taking texts from Epstein on questions to ask to go after Trump. So Epstein was using her Democratic colleague as a tool to go after President Trump. Just everybody keep that in mind. And then we talk about ICE and how horrible it is, and there are concerns. Everybody wants everything to go right. Nobody ever wants to see somebody die. And they complain about it. But at the same time, hypocrisy, they encourage constituents to go after the ICE agents, to challenge them, to hurt them, to attack them. And that doesn't make sense. That's hypocrisy. And then we hear about the concern of, going after Democrats, that the legal system, that judiciary and the Department of Justice is going after Democrats. But they literally rework the legal system under Alvin Bragg and Letitia James to go after Republicans and those sympathetic to Republicans. So, be careful when you accuse others that you're not guilty yourself. Be careful of what you say, because you got a history, and it's easy to go over it. I just want to talk about where we were and where we are now. We had over 10 million illegal crossings in the past between 2020 and 24. Over 10 million. There's probably a much bigger.
Bro, where's the Epstein stuff, man?
Cases that you just discussed. Yes.
They keep harping on the illegal immigrants. Yeah, we get it. It's horrible that they're here. Whoop-de-doo. I'm terrified of the illegal immigrants. Good on everything. Can we please get back on track? Just talking about Epstein, man. Like, could we please, man? This is so we're so far in the weeds, man.
Ms. Crockett from Texas, recognized for UC.
Thank you so much. Donald Trump's approval rating implodes on his strongest issue. This is from Newsweek today. It says 40% of people approve of Trump's handling of immigration and border security, while 60% disapprove.
Without objection, admitted. Now I recognize the gentleman from California, Mr. Liu.
Thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here today. I'm going to show you two photos.
Thank you.
I'm going to show you two photos of former Prince Andrew. Prince Andrew attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein.
This is disgusting.
Under the law Congress passed, you are allowed to redact photos to protect the victims of Epstein's sex trafficking operation. You redacted the photos of this victim's face because you were following the congressional law. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, that we redacted the victim's
Because you were
face?
following the congressional law, correct?
Yes.
Okay. You have now established that please put the photos back up, that we are looking at a sex trafficking victim. Under the Federal Victims Trafficking Protection Act, not only is Jeffrey Epstein guilty, but anyone who patronizes Epstein's sex operation is also guilty of a crime. That's why I find it absolutely despicable that you sought to protect Epstein's clients, like former Prince Andrew. Last July, you closed the case on Epstein's abusers. The July 2025 memo from your Department of Justice stated, quote, "We did not uncover evidence that could predicate an investigation against uncharged third parties." These two photos, please put the photos back up. These two photos staring you in the face are evidence of a crime and more than enough evidence to predicate an investigation against former Prince Andrew. So I ask you, Attorney General Pam Bondi, why did you shut down this investigation last July, and why have you not prosecuted former Prince Andrew?
I don't believe you asked Merrick Garland these questions when he was Attorney General and stepped before.
I agree with you.
You twice.
Claiming my time.
Never
I agree with
mentioned-
you. I agree with you. During the Biden administration, I called for people looking at Epstein files. Merrick Garland dropped the ball, as did Attorney General Bill Barr, as did Alex Acosta, a whole string of failures. But you are in charge. You have the power to change things.
No, wait, my goat. I agree. Why aren't you doing it? I agree. You're right. Why aren't you doing it? Mr. Lou. No, you're right. Why aren't you doing it though? No, no, we ain't gonna do this. Why aren't you doing it, my goat? What's cracking? What's going on? Oh, I completely agree with you. So why aren't you doing it? She dropped the ball for sure. Yeah, she sucks, but why aren't you doing it now? Let's do that. Because I can't talk to her. Twitter debate tactics not work. He is the only one that he's so on the ball. Oh, John Ball, owner of balls.
Hold these men accountable, and you're doing the opposite. You're protecting them. So I want to move on to another man.
Can I answer
Donald
that?
Trump. I want to move on to another
Can I answer
question.
your question about protecting?
You answered the question.
You're saying no. I love this.
I want to discuss another man, Donald Trump, who is all over the Epstein files, like former Prince. Here's the video. Like former Prince Andrew, Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
This is
The quiver. No, we got to go back and look at the quiver. Hold up a second. This is important. We got to go back. You got to look at the quiver. Hold up a second.
Donald Trump attended various parties with Jeffrey Epstein. I want to know, were there any underage girls at that party or at any party that Trump attended with Jeffrey Epstein?
Hand on the desk. Immediate anger. You can see the look on her face. She's realizing, oh, I might go to jail for this. I might go to jail for this. She stutters. Hold up a second. The lip quiver. The quiver. You see the quiver? Hold on. Wait. You didn't see the quiver like I saw the quiver. Hold up a second. Look at him. Waiting. Quiver. You see that quiver? You saw that quiver? I saw the quiver. I saw a quiver. A double quiver? You can't double quiver. Hold on.
This is so ridiculous.
Guys, what are we doing here? We're all white. Besides you, Mr. Lou, we're all white. Guys, what are we doing? This is democracy, guys. This is crazy. What are we doing? We can't send me to prison. What? What is ridiculous? I've been sitting in this chair for an hour. My ass is chapped.
And that they are trying to deflect.
Try to deflect, eh?
From all the great things Donald Trump has done.
No, here's what I'll give you all the good things Donald Trump has done. Donald Trump put tariffs on other countries and they immediately retaliated back and they hated that and we got the tariffs off. That's one thing. Second thing, big beautiful bill. We haven't seen what it does yet, but it was something that like complete garbage. He expanded ICE, gave everybody 50,000 sign-on bonuses, but they didn't read the fine print. So they got to realize the $50,000 sign-on bonus is actually over the course of 5 years. So you actually don't get the $50,000 in one lump sum. So that's pretty cool. So that's pretty interesting. Let's see another thing he did good. Immigration. Oh my God, he is so good at getting illegal immigrants out of this country. Want to know why he's so good at getting illegal immigrants out of the country? Because he is so aggressive and mean when he does it. So I'll give you that. We definitely won't have any illegal immigrants in our country. I will give you that. You're right. Anything else? That's it? Immigration's great. I'll give you that. Oh yeah, 100%. Illegal immigrants are out. You got that. I'll give you that. Whatever. You want to keep arguing that? So proud of you. Everything else sucks. 5 of my friends got laid off because of the manufacturers' jobs they work at. That sucks. And that's because directly of Trump. What's going on here? What's happening? What's happening? What's happening? Let's keep going.
There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime ever. Things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most
I mean, I don't want to I don't want to bring up that. Don't want to do that. Donald Trump has been found guilty of 34 felony counts of fault. Let's read this. Oops, sorry about that. Let's go ahead and read that. Is the first convicted felon president. Here's what that means. He's the only one. He's the only one. He's literally the only president. That's fair. Okay. Hush money made to a P star before the 2016 election. Okay. Can President pardon can only apply to federal offenses, not to crimes violating state law. But otherwise, spare the president any other punishment. Okay. Okay. All right. Canada is among dozens of countries in the world after George convicted. This is insane. I mean, we the never part. Like this is very specific languaging.
From all the great things Donald Trump has done. There is no evidence that Donald Trump has committed a crime. Everyone knows that. This has been the most transparent presidency. He's the one who asked that those files
claim my time. I got your answer. You said there's no evidence.
Trump asked
Chairman, please stop the clock.
sign the legislation.
Time belongs to the gentleman from California.
Okay. I'm going to put up another document from a witness who called the FBI's National Threat Operations Center because I believe you just lied under oath. There is ample evidence in the Epstein file.
Don't you ever accuse me of a crime.
Thanks for following. Don't you ever accuse me of a crime. I mean, like, you just saw it.
You just lied under oath, and this is on videotape. You said there's no evidence of crime. I'm showing you. Here is a witness statement who called into the FBI's Threat Operations Center.
The file she said she went over. This is great.
He drove Donald Trump around in a limo. He overheard what Donald Trump said to Jeffrey on his cell phone. He was so angry, he was going to stop the limo and hurt Donald Trump. And he met a girl who said she was raped by Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein. She later had her head blown off, and officers at the scene said that could not have been suicide. No one at the Department of Justice interviewed this witness. You need to interview this witness immediately. Epstein should rot in hell, so should the men who patronized his operation. And as we say here today, there are over 1,000 sex trafficking victims
and you have not held a single man accountable. Shame on you. If you had any decency, you would resign right after this hearing concludes.
The gentleman has expired.
If you had any decency, you would get the hell out of my face. you would lose your job. My bad.
May I respond?
Yeah, I don't know how you respond. No,
I did not ask a question. He doesn't want to talk about the crime in California. He does not want to talk about crime in his state.
I did not ask a question.
Meeting will be in order. The gentleman has yielded back his time. I think our next witness will be more than happy to let the Attorney General.
Attorney General, would you like
Gentleman from Alabama is recognized for 5 minutes.
You have a few minutes.
Thank you, Congressman. This is what Congressman Liu didn't want to talk about. He didn't want to talk about all the crime that is happening in his state. California refuses to honor detainees because of its dangerous sanctuary city policies. The refusal means California has released 4,561 criminal illegal aliens onto its street. The crimes of these aliens include 31 homicides, 661 assaults, 574 burglaries, 184 robberies, 1,489 dangerous drug offenses, 379 weapons offenses, and 234 sexual predator offenses. That's why they are deflecting. That's why they're trying to talk about the Epstein files. That's currently happening in his home state.
My brother in Christ. This whole hearing is about the Epstein files. The hearing is about the am I wrong? It literally says testifies on Epstein files. Is this not it? That's why he wants to talk about the Epstein files. He wants to talk about his crime in his state. No. What do you mean?
Attorney General, thank you for being here, and I want to make sure you had time to respond. I'm going to change gears a little bit. In October, when you were testifying before the Senate, I know you and my friend Senator Katie Britt discussed concerns of infiltration of the illegal Chinese vapes into our country. As a father of 3, obviously, I'm worried a little bit about this, and I believe that many parents in the country share similar concerns. Can you provide an update on DOJ's work in this space over the past few months?
Yes, and thank you for bringing that up. We're talking about the vapes. And this should be an issue where both sides of the aisle can work together on. Parents need to understand, children need to understand that so many of these are being manufactured in China, sent to our country, and have the potential to be laced with lethal drugs. We've seen an overdose. We need to get on the front end of this before we have, so we're bringing that up. That's happening in all of our states, and I would ask everyone here, I know, but we have school cases now.
Funds money, they were simply building the technology. That uncertainty made it harder for Americans to build, innovate here at home. Earlier this year, the Deputy Attorney General issued a memo entitled Any Regulations by Prosecution, a clear break from the Biden administration to ensure that people are just writing the software and don't.
Thing we can to protect the American people on that, and I would refer everyone to Deputy Attorney General Blanche's memo, and we're working as hard as we can on that topic.
We want to lead the way in the space on that, so we'd appreciate the help. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I'll yield back 10 seconds.
Gentleman yields back. Recognize Young Zone for unanimous consent.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have a number of UCs.
Gentleman can proceed.
Thank you. Bombshell new docs show Trump called police about Epstein in 2006.
Objection.
Kamala Harris defends Biden administration decision not to release Epstein files.
Objection.
Why weren't they released during the Biden administration?
Objection.
House Democrat Stacey Plaskett exchanged texts with Epstein during 2019 congressional hearing.
Objection.
New York judge allows Epstein victims' claims against Plaskett to proceed.
Objection.
Hakeem Jeffrey solicited funding from Epstein in 2013 after financier was convicted child sex offender.
Objection.
Jeffrey Epstein was invited to dim fundraising dinner and to get to know Hakeem Jeffries by firm working with Brooklyn's Barack.
Objection.
An email from Leslie Groff to Jeffrey Epstein concerning Hakeem Jeffries fundraising. Epstein file says Biden was replaced in 2019, question mark?
Objection.
Thank you.
The gentleman yields back. The gentleman from California is recognized. Mr. Correa.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and welcome, Ms. A.G. Bondi. I agree with you. Our top priority should be protecting Americans. In my past life in the California State Legislature, I did a lot of work on solving sex crimes, passing legislation to update our codes. And I found that the biggest challenge to solving sex crimes is reporting them. Victims have to have the guts to stand up to report those sex crimes. But it's not easy. It's the most unreported sex crime there is. Crime there is sex crimes. It's painful, humiliating. And a lot of times the victims don't think anything's going to come out of their reporting these crimes. Then we have adults who as children were molested, boys and girls, who will live in silence for the rest of their life. I believe the Epstein files are just one of many sex crimes taking place in our society today. I hear 1,200 Epstein victims, some additional victims as young as 9 to 10 years old. The challenge I have today, what bothers me today about this hearing, Madam AG, is what's the message we're sending out there on Main Street? Shouldn't ask a question I don't know an answer to, but I'm going to ask the victims behind you right now. First, can you please stand up? And then, can you please raise your hand if you think after everything you've heard today, you feel that our AG, the feds, have your back? Do we have your back? Raise your hand if you're confident that we got your back. And that's the issue, Madam AG. We've got to make sure that victims stand up and report the crimes. Otherwise, we're going to be taking a step backwards. Today, AI, cyber, social media, the new realm for people to be hurt, attacked sexually, these are the areas I welcome the opportunity to work with you on. It's not your problem, it's not my problem, it's our problem. But to have redacted files that are not showing us the names of these predators is wrong. These are very powerful people. This was a very expensive business, and we don't know who they are. I would imagine they're very prominent Republicans, very Republican Democrats, and we are covering up for them. We got to know what's going on out there, Madam AG. It looks like you want to say something. I'm going to give you the opportunity to address my statement.
I look forward to working with you on any crimes involving child sex predators, children, and also cyber crimes. That is a tremendous problem now throughout our country. AI, you are correct. AI is causing great problems online. We're working on that though. AI is an incredible tool, but it also can be fraught with peril with victims of crime. I've experienced that with someone I know who we've been trying to help. I look forward, though, to working with you on that and all cyber crimes. Can I?
Please, go ahead.
And as I said before, to any victims, we ask them to come forward to our office, and we want to work with them. I have never not worked with a victim, and I believe I've actually spoken to several of
Madam, if I can reclaim my time,
behind me.
I can reclaim my time. I just think we start out by making sure those redactions are unredacted, those Epstein files, to make sure that the public, according to the law, following the law, that those names in those files are made public.
Oh, sorry, you couldn't hear me just now. Sorry. That made it even better. What is she talking about? I did just post a vid. What is she talking about? Dude? You can schedule videos, Matt. Yeah.
Make sure we tell those predators there is no place for them to hide, and if they commit the crime, they're going to fry for it. It starts with showing us the names of the perpetrators in the Epstein files.
May I respond to that?
Sure.
Okay. So, if any man's name was redacted that should not have been, we will, of course, unredact it. If a victim's name was unredacted, please bring it to us and we will redact it. We were given 30 days to review and redact and unredact millions of pages of documents. Our error rate is very low.
The victim's right behind you.
Error rate is very low. Okay. Right. The damage is already done. Right. The name's already out there. So the damage is already done. The damage is already done. Is this funny to her? Because the damage is already done.
On both sides.
We're doing a good job
everything we can to help the victims. We will do everything we can.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from California, Mr. Kiley, is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good morning, Madam Attorney General. I wanted to return to a point that the chairman raised at the beginning of this hearing, which is these jurisdictions that refuse to honor detainer requests from Immigration and Customs Enforcement, often called sanctuary jurisdictions. Now, I know that you are not involved directly in immigration operations per se, but you do deal with the legal issues surrounding these jurisdictions. So let's say we have someone who's here illegally who has committed a crime that, like the thousands of people you mentioned in California, murderers, sexual predators, drug traffickers. If that individual is in detention in a jurisdiction that has a sanctuary policy where they do not honor ICE detainers versus in
Holy.
when that individual can be released in conversation, right, forms and to copy, investigate, and memo.
I don't care about the ICE stuff, man. I'm here for the Epstein stuff.
But Americans across the political spectrum were immediately alarmed by the memo's blurring of the line between unlawful conduct and constitutionally protected speech and activity, as well as its call to investigate, prosecute, and dismantle groups that the president and Stephen Miller described without evidence as, quote, an organized campaign of radical left terrorism. Now, counterterrorism experts were further alarmed by the administration's singular focus on left-wing extremism, combined with the sudden deletion from the DOJ website of decades of research and law enforcement analysis, which had concluded that right-wing extremism poses the greatest terrorism threat to Americans. The president's memo broadly and vaguely links violent conduct to ideologies, and it targeted specifically anti-American, anti-Christian, and anti-capitalist beliefs, as well as, quote, hostility to so-called traditional American views on family, religion, and morality, end quote. President Trump has repeatedly and openly, however falsely, tried to brand his political opponents with these sentiments listed in his memo. But as you know, as a lawyer, holding beliefs that the White House disagrees with is not a crime. And the statute defining domestic terrorism requires criminal acts, not just thoughts and ideas. That's why legal experts, nonprofit leaders, religious freedom, and civil rights advocates immediately raised the alarm that the new presidential directive was a politically motivated attack on civil society designed to silence those who disagree with the administration. So, Ms. Bondi, Section 3 of that memo directed you, as Attorney General, to submit to the President and Stephen Miller a list of groups or entities whose members are engaged in acts that meet the definition of domestic terrorism. And then on December 4th, you directed the FBI to work with a variety of law enforcement entities to compile a list of groups and entities engaged in such acts by January 3rd, 2026, and to update that report every 30 days thereafter. So can we assume that you or persons under your direction at the Department of Justice have prepared that list of groups or entities who are designated as domestic terrorist organizations? And I just remind you that's a yes or no question. Did you
I'm
prepare
not
the
going to
list?
answer yes or no, but what I will say is I know Antifa is part of that. I will talk to you about
I'm
that.
reclaiming my time. I asked you whether you
an
prepared
Antifa member
a
was
list.
arrested in Minneapolis.
I'm
federal court
reclaiming
for
my
cyber
time.
stalking.
Did you
they
have
ask a
a
question
list?
and don't want an answer.
The answer is yes or no.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Pennsylvania. Gentleman can proceed.
Okay. So will you commit to providing this committee with any list of organizations that you have recommended be designated as domestic terrorist organizations?
We will comply with the law in all matters.
Will you commit to provide this committee with your list of entities that you recommend be designated as domestic terrorist organizations?
I'm not going to commit to anything to you because you won't let me answer questions.
Okay, well then, we do understand that your current position is that you have a secret list of people or groups that you are accusing of domestic terrorism, but you won't share it with Congress. And I'd remind you that when the U.S. government designates an entity as a foreign terrorist organization, it must report that to Congress and to the entity, because the government can make a mistake and the entity has the opportunity to contest it. So your position seems to be that if you falsely designate an American or an American organization as a terrorist group, there's nothing they can do about it. I think we get it. You don't want to answer the
No,
question.
you don't get anything regarding public safety.
Thank you.
Nothing.
Thank you for the insult. It's clear you didn't come to Congress prepared to
Thank
answer
you for the
questions that the American
insult.
people have every right to have answered. But if you were to prepared to answer truthfully, here's what we expect the facts to show. The administration is keeping lists of Americans who the White House says are engaged in domestic terrorism. Those lists could include Americans who have not committed any acts of terrorism, but simply disagree with this administration, people like Renee Good and Alex Preddy. And your list may include clergy, elected officials, and members of indivisible groups across the country. And those lists likely don't include Proud Boys or Oath Keepers who were actually convicted. Americans have never tolerated political demagogues who use the government to punish people on an enemies list. It brought down McCarthy, it brought down Nixon, and it will bring down this administration as well.
You were right.
Yield back.
That's why we're so glad they rescinded the memorandum targeting parents. For goodness sake, as the gentleman from California just pointed out in his 5 minutes, the gentleman from Kentucky is recognized.
May I respond very briefly to her statement?
I think we can do that
Okay.
probably on one of our members.
Okay, thank you. I don't want that to get away. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Behind me, I have 3 documents from the DOJ production. They're emblematic of the massive failure of the DOJ to comply with the Epstein Files Transparency Act. To my right,
I love when they have these big ass boards. I got this from Home Depot. So let me explain what I've written out here, and let me show you what I got. I've actually printed these out at the main library. These big
Fantasy football in the back.
playing fantasy. This is my DraftKings roster.
is an email that was sent by the victim's lawyers to the DOJ. It was a list of names not to redact. A list of names not to release. What did the DOJ do with this email? They released this email in the document production. Literally the worst thing you could do to the survivors, you did. And they're getting phone calls. A lot of these people didn't want to be known. And we know you touched the document because you redacted one name, and you redacted the lawyer's name, but you left the survivor's name there. The next document I want to show you, that was in the title, the victim's survivors' names, all right? The title of this one is Child Sex Trafficking. Co-conspirators, fully redacted. And by the way, we're going to unredact them here. Les Wexner is in this. Now, your deputy attorney general said, oh, well, he appears hundreds of times in the files. But he doesn't appear in this file until I forced you to release it, where he's listed as a co-conspirator, not to tax evasion, but to child sex trafficking. Not to
Until I asked you to release it. That's when you released it. When I asked. I asked you and you released it. But man, dude, this is different. You messed up. And he's so right. Because my goat, Massey, my goat, he was like, yeah, he just did tax evasion. He didn't do anything with sex trafficking. No. They can get away with tax evasion, but the sex traps are crazy.
prostitution, not the money laundering, child sex trafficking. And then finally, what we have here, is, the third exhibit that I have is emblematic of the FD 302 release. These are the documents that we need, that you're holding on to and over-redacting because they have the names of the men who are implicated. How do we know? Because the survivors gave testimony to the FBI, and it's in there. And what happens when you go to the portal at the DOJ to look at what's behind this redaction? Another redaction. So we can't even see them. And then there's some of these files you've pulled down from the website that we will never see because we can't search the redactions. So I have several questions for you. Who's responsible? Are you able to track who in your organization made this massive failure and released the victims' names? Are you able to track who it was that obscured Les Wexner's name as a co-conspirator in an FBI document? Do you have that kind of accountability?
I believe Wexner's name was listed more than 4,000 times.
Yeah, I already told you that. This is where he's listed as a co-conspirator.
Can I finish my answer? Come on, let me finish my answer. We corrected that within 40 minutes. He was already, you're acting like everybody's trying to cover up Wexner's name.
Reclaiming my time.
I'm gonna answer this question.
Reclaiming my time.
Mr.
Chairman,
how this works.
Can I have my time back?
Mr. Chairman, the gentlelady can give her answer. The time belongs to the gentleman from
All right, I'm reclaiming my
Can I
time.
give my answer?
So I'm going to put the language of the bill up on the screen.
Chairman, may I give my answer on that? It's a political joke, and I need to give my answer on that.
Let the Attorney General respond, and then the gentleman can move to the next question.
Within 40 minutes, you asked me a question. Within 40 minutes, Wexner's name was added back.
Within 40 minutes of me catching you red-handed.
There was one redaction out of
He's
over
listed as a
4,700, and we invited you in. This guy has Trump derangement syndrome. He needs to. You're a failed politician. You need to know all these matters.
Chairman, please restore his time and remind the witness of the rules here.
There is no credible information.
Where did he come from? Where did Beetlejuice Green come from? Where did Beetlejuice Green come from, bro? Where did Beetlejuice Green? Where did this is, by the way, I respect Beetlejuice Green. Don't ever disrespect Beetlejuice Green. But he came out of nowhere like Beetlejuice Green. He just popped up out of nowhere. My goat popped up. He just said, hey, it's me, Beetlejuice Green. Where did he come from? Where did Beetlejuice Green come from? And I'm specifically referring to Beetlejuice Green. I'm referring to this. This is what I'm talking about here.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
Nothing. Me? Just hanging around.
That's how he popped up, bro. That's how he popped up. That's how he popped up. That's how he just popped up Beetlejuice Green, man.
None. If there were, I would bring the case yesterday that he trafficked to other individuals. Is that your position as well?
My position is any victim who comes forward, of course, we would love to hear from them. 1-800-CALL-FBI. Did you ask Merrick Garland that the last 4 years? Did you talk about Epstein?
I'm reclaiming my time. I'm glad you're asking about Merrick Garland.
You
Because this is bigger than Watergate. This goes over 4 administrations. You don't have to go back to Biden. Let's go back to Obama. Let's go back to George Bush. This cover-up spans decades, and you are responsible for this portion of it.
And that's
now,
He said, hey, we can go back to Obama. We can go back to this. We can go back to that. You're responsible for this portion. This part is you. This part is you. This part is you.
I want to know, at what point did the FBI and the DOJ decide that Lex Wessner was not a co-conspirator? Because our Epstein Files Transparency Act requires you, please put it back on the screen, please, to release the internal decision about whether to prosecute him or not, and it's not in the files, and it's not in the files for any of these other men.
Time of the gentleman has expired.
May she answer?
And he's a hypocrite because he voted against the ban that we were talking about on deep fake AI porn. Only 2 people voted against it, and you were one of them, hypocrite.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Was that the answer to the question? Was that the answer to the question? Was that it? Was that the answer? Is that... Is it... Say what you want about Trump. This is the most entertaining This is the most entertaining that politics has been ever.
Mr. Chairman, could she answer the question?
Chairman, I was wondering,
the gentlelady's allowed.
You get Buffalo Wild Wings or what?
The Attorney General would like to respond the way she wants to respond to any member's questions, Republican, Democrat.
All right, I have unanimous consent request.
Gentleman's recognized for UC.
All right, this is an example. I'm submitting these 302 forms that are entirely redacted, even when you go to look at them.
Without objection.
I'm submitting a witness statement that implicates Les Wexner.
Without objection.
I'm submitting an article from the New York Times that the DOJ released nude photos and identifiable pictures of the victims. I'm submitting a letter from AG Bondi to Kash Patel, imploring him to quit keeping the files when you found out that they were keeping files from you, because they're still redacting files.
Chairman, are we going to recess for votes?
Yes, we are.
I'm submitting for unanimous consent a document of 17 individuals who've resigned because of the Epstein files.
Without objection. Just want to check in how much time we have left in votes, but one thing I've learned here of late that they'll wait on this. How much time do we have? Oh, they just called. Okay. The chair now recognizes the gentleman from Maryland.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to start by saying I appreciate what you said, Attorney General Bondi, and you said it to me personally, that you take the personal security of every member of Congress seriously and that people can contact you about that. And in these times, that's a very serious matter, so I thank you for that. Article 2, Section 1, Clause 7 of the Constitution is the Domestic Emoluments Clause. And it says that the president is limited to his salary in office and cannot receive any other money from the federal government while he's in office. It cannot be increased by $1. This president is the first president in U.S. history who has repeatedly sued the federal government for $230 million for the judicial search warrant at Mar-a-Lago, which was perfectly lawful and was never struck down. But now he's suing the IRS for $10 billion. He's suing the IRS for $10 billion, which I think is around 80% of its annual budget, because his tax returns were leaked, and they were illegally leaked by a private contractor who actually is in prison now, Charles Littlejohn, but he wants $10 billion. Now, I want to ask you the question of whether you think it would violate the Domestic Emoluments Clause for you to settle that $10 billion case or any of the other claims that the president's made against the government. He himself has remarked, it's interesting because I'm the one that makes the deal, right? And he says, I kind of have to work it out with myself. Do you think it would violate the Domestic Emoluments Clause for the president to work out a deal?
I'm so sorry. I'm happy you pointed this out because I've been looking at him the whole time. He looks so sad. He's like, oh, who's this dude in the background? Who's this dude in the background? Who is this guy? Who is this dude? Who is... Oh, he looks like he's about to tear up, bro. Who is he? Oh, God.
From people who are his subordinates under his unitary executive theory to get money in one of these cases.
I'm not going to discuss pending litigation.
Okay, so theoretically you're saying because his privacy rights were violated in that tax case, and they were. I'm with the president on that. I mean, his Mar-a-Lago thing is ridiculous, but there's no doubt that his tax returns, despite the fact that he promised to release them, despite the fact that every other president released the tax returns, he suffered embarrassment when it showed that he hadn't paid taxes for several years, and he had a right for that not to happen. Now, I want to turn back to the Epstein survivors, because President Trump may have been a little bit embarrassed by the release of those tax returns. How much do you think the claims of these survivors are worth? As the good congressman from Kentucky just pointed out, there were lots of survivors who had decided, for reasons of their own, never to release their names. That determination was represented to people in Congress, and we built it into our federal law that their names could not be released, and yet you published their names, their phone numbers, their addresses, personally identifying information. If Donald Trump can get $10 billion theoretically from the Department of Justice, how much should these people get for a far worse violation of their privacy rights and a far greater danger established to them in their lives?
Do you even know who Chase Mulligan is? You're so obsessed with, you don't, do
I'm
you?
going to teach you the rules again. You're the Attorney General of the United States. We have rules here.
With him.
You're the Attorney General of the United States.
You're
The rules.
obsessed with Donald Trump. You have Trump derangement syndrome.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like my time restored. I'd like my time restored.
In your district. In your district, and you don't even know about it, about keeping children safe from online predators.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Maryland. Gentleman can proceed.
Yeah, and I want the whole country to look at this, because this is the Attorney General of the United States, whose job is law enforcement. We've never had a witness who has misunderstood our rules and been unable to conform his or her conduct to our rules before. We have only 5 minutes, and so we use our time to ask you specific questions.
How long are you giving me to
Excuse me, I'm not yielding to you right now. I'd like that second restored too. So, Ms. Bondi, the way it works is we ask you a question, and you answer it, and if you go off on a wild goose chase, another tangent, you start reading statistics, or you start talking about stuff going on in our district, and by the way, I invite you to my district. Come to my district, but that's not what we're here to do today, okay? So, and you do that, then we're allowed to say we reclaim our time. At that point, you have to be quiet. You have no choice. You have to be quiet. So, I hope you understand the rule of this one. Now, here's what I want to ask you. You're in law enforcement. We've seen all kinds of evidence of crimes. And when we go over to the Department of Justice for the 4 computers for every member of Congress, we see more evidence of crimes. Will you create a joint task force of the Department of Justice and governors and state attorney generals and district attorneys across the country to investigate the crimes that have taken place against these victims and more than 1,000 like them? The DOJ is not doing its job. Will you create a task force with state and local law enforcement to make that happen?
Gentlelady can respond if she wants to.
Thank you, Chairman. He called Chase Mulligan a wild goose chase and didn't even know who he was. He is a defendant in your own district who preyed on girls.
Mr. Chairman.
Well, you know what? If you were part of the Epstein investigation, you wouldn't do anything about it.
Online chat rooms and committed sextortion. Yet he didn't even know in your tiny little district who he
Chairman,
was.
she's embarrassing you.
He's about to be
This is your committee, and she is embarrassing
Shame
you.
on you.
The time of the gentleman has expired. I would remind the committee that last Congress, Secretary Marks was here numerous times, and he wouldn't answer our questions, even when we sent them to him ahead of time in writing. So that's what we've had to deal with. I think the Attorney General is doing just fine. We have votes shortly. I will go to the gentleman from Virginia, and then we will take a break to head to the floor. I thank the Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, thank you for being here, and I wanted to thank you for your work at DOJ in restoring the rule of law, encouraging transparency surrounding Jack Smith's partisan investigations into President Trump, declassifying information about the Russia collusion hoax, cracking down on sanctuary jurisdictions, and establishing the National Fraud Enforcement Division. Let me first go to securing the border and immigration enforcement. Our new governor has recently rescinded 287G cooperation between the state and ICE. Can you talk about, have you evaluated the public safety impact, how that would affect safety in Virginia to withdraw that support and what that would do to criminal activity involving illegal immigrants in Virginia?
Yes, it would be detrimental. And as you know, Congressman, one of the top members of MS-13 in the entire country was living in Virginia, in a suburb.
Holy
all
dude.
of them.
We include that abiding Americans by myself.
Get me back to the Epstein.
Was it more than $20,000? Why he had to do those things? We'd like to know when you can, if you can get that information to the committee. I think when you think, and with that, we're members, and since you're back titled Inside Trump's DOJ dated October 16, 2020. Without objection, we stand in recess.
We got a recess.
If you come for law enforcement,
and the gentleman from
6 days ago, you posted online, quote, if you come for law enforcement, the Trump administration will come for you.
You're disgusting. I'm from law enforcement. You're disgusting. You are the Nazi. You are the Gestapo. You can't see it. You're chasing a pension, right? Pension. You're retired, right? That's what you're like. You're retired.
Allegedly yelling, kill him, at police officers on January 6th.
Okay, man. We got it. I don't care about this at all. Get me up to speed. Oh, come on.
Of other states. Clearly, this problem is spreading. Would you agree that Congress has not authorized states to impose retroactive liability against energy producers? And
oh my God, bro. I understand you guys have concerns, but we got to get to this Epstein stuff.
As the Florida Attorney General, attorneys from your office handled the appeal of my son, Jordan Davis's murder, which was denied.
All right, man. We get it, Ms. McBath.
Both of those came for my case of law. So half what American people do deserve when you told us that you will fight for them as well. I would have ability.
I think it's one of the most extraordinary achievements of the Department of Justice in our history. And I don't think some of my colleagues heard you clearly.
Thank you, Congressman. And would you mind if I address something that Congresswoman McBath wouldn't let me address first?
Go right ahead.
And Atlanta molest in large scale. I'm sorry. Thank you. Work has been.
We get it, bro. Damn.
Every
J.D. Vance, titled J.D. Vance refuses to apologize to Alice Brady's family to bond Mr. Park in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd.
I got you, bro. Get back to the Epstein stuff, man.
All right, we've heard she offer of prison. Yes, really like this about her. So I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
Hold on.
Who
This is interesting.
only be correct, President. Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here and throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment or privileges in prison. And yet Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's nicknamed Club Fed, we've heard reports that she's been afforded special privileges, puppy time, private workouts, personal mail, secretarial services. Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like Ghislaine Maxwell deserve special treatment and privileges in prison? Yes or no?
Let me be crystal clear on this. No. And let me keep going. No, let me keep going.
Perfect. Well,
I did not know she was being transferred.
I asked you yes or no.
She was not transferred to a lower
Mr. Chairman,
level.
please stop the clock and remind the witness of the rules. One rule she needs to
I'm
understand.
glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things. But I want you to know that every time she does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported, that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice. They feel re-traumatized. And I'm glad that we agree on that. But she should not be in that prison. And she needs to be moved back to a maximum security prison as soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them unless she gets clemency from Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence within the administration. But that begs the question, who ordered her to be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for? Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment. She was transferred, I learned after the fact, to the same level facility, and that is a question for the Bureau of Prisons. I was not involved in that at all. The same level facility, I don't know why, but instead of talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, who hopefully will die in prison, you should be talking about Irina Zarutska.
I have a couple
who
of
died on a subway.
Right, and
you don't talk about that.
I have been talking about it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify. That's what the whole point of this endeavor is. So of course we're moving back to you. It is all about you. So as we heard, she took the fifth in response to every single question in that committee hearing. And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon or commute her sentence? Should she be released from prison? Yes or no? You said you hope she dies there, so I'm hoping the answer is no.
I already answered that question.
Good. I'm very glad. I really like this bipartisan agreement about
what agrees with you. But you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You don't want to talk about
I talk about
murdered
her all
by
the
a violent
time,
crime.
but I am not here to testify before Congress. You are. That is your job today.
You are
That's what you're getting
obsessed
for.
with attacking.
So I want you to know that your own DOJ employee, he's recently been demoted and had some other problems, advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for Ghislaine Maxwell?
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about Irina Zarutska. You couldn't properly
The woman that down on the subway is. Why are they bringing her up, man?
identify her relative.
I absolutely have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
Ms. Elliott yields back. Gentleman from California is recognized.
I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled, "Why Pam Bondi Didn't Publish All the Epstein Files in 30 Days." The answer is simple. It was not possible. From the Wall Street Journal.
Well said. Without objection. The gentlelady from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
May I respond 20 seconds to something that Congresswoman Ross said?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. She also opposed the sex offender registry as head of North Carolina ACLU. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. And I'd like to pick up where you left off a moment ago, because we convene here today as a committee for the stated purpose of conducting oversight of the Department of Justice. And so it's critical for us to focus first on the mission of the department and assess your success in discharging it. So the mission of the department is to enforce federal law, defend the rule of law, and protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, drug trafficking, fraud, and exploitation, to promote public safety. And what we have heard today unequivocally is that President Trump's Department of Justice, under your leadership, Attorney General Bondi, is doing exactly that. Just a moment ago, you shared with us some incredible statistics that the United States, under your leadership, has achieved the lowest murder rate in 125 years. That in the first year of this administration, murder is down 21%, robbery is down 23%, carjacking down 43%. Under your more than 3 department in this hearing that I had of predators as technology defined criminal offense, we actually provide legal to these. Why do you believe that efforts to combat these types of crimes are important?
Actually, it's horrible seeing that and nodding on her to protect everything in our
like Project Safe Childhood and the Internet Crimes Against Children Task Force's partnership there, a tremendous amount of leadership in our state trying to make sure we were taking care of children, also the elderly, protecting them from fraud, ending drug
in Florida when I was state AG, and actually back when I was a state prosecutor prior to being Attorney General. Neighborhood, it's and they feel programs.
Young lady yields back. Gentleman from Tennessee is recognized.
I'd like to introduce for the record a letter to Director Gabbard from Mr. Warner and Mr. Himes, and a letter of response from her to them about who invited her to Atlanta, and a copy of the search warrant. And I'd also like to just make clear for the record, the reason people in Memphis weren't going out was because the ice was on the ground and we were afraid we'd fall. But other than that, we go out all the time.
Gentleman,
Without objection, the gentlelady from Vermont is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney General Bondi, according to your department, a child is sexually abused in the United States every 9 minutes, and the vast majority of survivors never get justice. And that's one of the reasons why I think the Epstein case has resonated so deeply with so many Americans. And the other reason I think is because it has revealed a two-tiered system of justice, and the powerful are protected and the survivors rarely get any accountability. And the Epstein files contain evidence of a multi-decade international criminal conspiracy involving some of the wealthiest and the most powerful people in the world. There's evidence of financial crimes, political corruption, sex trafficking, and of course, horrible sexual abuse. And I want to remind everybody, this isn't a game. These are real people, people who have suffered, who are sitting here with us today, and they deserve answers, and they deserve accountability. And I'm here to try to get some for them. Now, I've seen some of the unredacted Epstein files, and obviously, as you know, President Trump's name is all over them, but so are the names of other senior Trump officials: Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce; John Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy; and Stephen Feinberg, the Deputy Secretary of Defense. These men were appointed by President Trump to senior positions in his administration. All of them have clear and confirmed ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney General Bondi, yes or no, has the Justice Department asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Epstein?
Excuse me. Secretary Lutnick has addressed those ties himself.
I'm asking you, has the Justice Department specifically asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
He has addressed those ties himself.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has addressed those or not.
Has Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein? Yes or no? Has the Department of Justice talked to Deputy Secretary Feinberg about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files? It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking you.
Yeah, I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh.
Epstein
Okay, I'm recording my time. I'm asking you not a trick question, a simple question. Okay, so what is clear is we have evidence.
Do you know who Chris Phelan is?
We have evidence that 3 senior officials within the Trump administration have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. And what I can conclude from what you are saying that you have not talked to them.
What does ties mean?
I think Americans would be shocked to learn that you are not interested in talking with these officials who have ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Across the world, prominent men who've been exposed in the files have resigned their jobs in disgrace. And that's a good first start. And that same standard should apply here. And Americans want accountability.
Who is Chris Phelan?
Was the president aware? Please stop talking. It is not your time to ask questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair. One second.
Time belongs to the gentlelady from Vermont.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Phelan was a Border Patrol agent.
Okay, so I'm going to conclude that the president, in fact, did know about his ties because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes. This is pathetic. This is pathetic, Mr. Chair. I am not asking trick questions here. The American people have a right to know the answers to this.
She is so reasonably pissed. Whoever this woman is, I gotta respect her because she's so reasonably pissed from the dodging and the ridiculousness. I gotta respect her deeply because she is like, oh my, I'm not asking trick questions, bro. I'm literally asking yes or no questions, bro. This is ridiculous, bro. Literally yes or no questions. Could you please answer the question? She is just doing her best. It's so great. I gotta respect because this is how I'd be. I would be so pissed. Oh my god. I'd be the worst. I'd be the worst.
These are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game, Secretary.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies. I couldn't tell. By 2008, we
Secretary, I'm Attorney General. My bad, cuz. Couldn't tell. Anyway. Yo.
knew that Epstein was a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's island in 2012. How was that not a deal breaker for the president? And why aren't you asking questions of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to? Why are you not asking these questions? And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right thing, Attorney General. Meet with the survivors. They have been asking for a year. Meet with the survivors. Do the right thing. I yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The gentleman from South Carolina is recognized for 5 minutes.
May I have 20 seconds of his time?
So that'll be up to the gentleman, but
absolutely. Madam.
Thank you. I was curious if you, Congresswoman, asked Bill Clinton that. Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton.
Why does she keep bringing up the tweet stuff, bro? Why does she keep bringing up the tweet every day? It's just that I didn't see a single tweet, mind you. I didn't see a single tweet, mind you, about this. Stupid. That's dumb.
Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein, not once, when he was. Also, I want the record to reflect that, with this anti-Semitic culture right now, she voted against a resolution condemning.
Do you want to go there, Attorney General? Or do you want to go there? Are you serious? Talking about anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust? Really?
The committee will be in order.
Oh, that was serious. Oh gosh, she pissed her off. Oh, that was bad. That was real bad. To a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust is crazy. That's yo. 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 Oh, that's crazy. What? The rage baiting is crazy. That's insane. Holy. If I was on trial, I would probably act exactly like Pam Bondi. I'm not gonna lie to you. I would probably act like Pam Bondi because I knew I would be cooked. I would just start insulting people. This is how I act when I know I'm cooked. It's like because this is what I do when I'm cooked. Uh, I'm doing my best. Yeah. Oh god. Yeah. This is how I act when I'm cooked. Oh my goodness. This is how. This is exactly how, when I'm cooked, when I'm filleted, when I'm flambéed, when I'm put over a reel, when I'm just getting cooked, flipped upside down. This is what I do. Just start insulting people. Only way that works.
Talk to Jared Wise about anti-Semitism.
The ranking member knows it. Can I get like 30 seconds back, you know?
Yeah, I think the whole committee knows. I've been very generous, making sure everything's 5 minutes in the
Attorney
second.
General, I'm talking about sanctuary cities for a second, which limit the federal government's ability to enforce immigration law. They're kind of a new thing that Democrat jurisdictions are doing. They're in violation of federal immigration law. But they are in violation of policies. This means that the number of legal for the American taxpayer, do sanctuary policies make our community safer?
No, Congressman.
I want to do a brief video to highlight sanctuary cities. So what's strange to me, if you look at this board behind me, in New York, there are 7,000 criminal legal aliens since January 20th of last year.
I get it. Yes, it's horrifying. Legal immigrants are horrifying.
With hundreds of millions of dollars in clemency to convicted fraudsters. January 2026 NBC, Trump's pardons forgive financial crimes that came with hundreds of millions of dollars in punishment. Washington Post, December 19, 2025, Trump's pardons wipe out payments to defrauded victims. And finally, May 30th, 2024, Trump found guilty by Manhattan jury on 34 felony counts of fraud.
Objection. The gentleman from Illinois is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, glad you finally made it here after hiding for 4 months from this committee. I understand
Whoa, I
why
thought
you're
you were
hiding
hiding,
from us.
Chairman?
You're one of the worst.
Hold on a second. Someone came with immediate fire. Hold on a second. What did he say? I gotta slow this down because he came with some heat. He immediately just started going off on her. I gotta put it down to 1.5.
Glad you finally made it here after hiding for 4 months from this committee. I understand.
I thought
You're
you were
hiding
hiding,
from us.
Chairman?
You're one of the worst attorney generals in our history and an instrument of Donald Trump's lawless authoritarian agenda, and I'm glad the American people are seeing who you are, how you act, and the lack of good values. You weaponize the Department of Justice to target immigrants, working families, and anyone that Trump deems an enemy of the state, all to protect real powerful criminals, including in your administration. My Democratic colleagues have focused on your cover-up of the Epstein files and your passion for protecting pedophiles and child traffickers. That alone is grounds for impeachment. But there's so much more to your corrupt tenure as Attorney General. You directed prosecutors to investigate elected officials in welcoming jurisdictions, and you got thrown out of court when you sued Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. You directed prosecutors to prioritize low-level immigration cases while gutting enforcement against corporate criminals and public corruption. You revived draconian
You're
law
talking
of
about public corruption to
1798,
me? Whoa.
which should be repealed to illegally send people to a torture prison in El Salvador. You fired over 100 immigration judges, including the assistant chief immigration judge in Chicago, without cause, and installed unqualified military judges whom you instructed to deny asylum in violation of the law. You prosecute the president's enemies like Jim Comey and Tish James.
You know what? My wife just said something smart. She said the white people aren't mad enough for me. Like Mr. Garcia, first I'm assuming of Hispanic descent, of some Spanish descent. He came out and immediately was like, "Hey, you suck. Go die." You've been ducking me for 4 months. He's the greatest op of all time. You've been ducking me for 4 months. I'm sorry. I haven't been ducking. Shut up. You've been ducking me for 4 months. I'm reclaiming my time. You've been ducking me for 4 months. You've been dodging this question for years.
While giving impunity to federal agents who are murdering and brutalizing and terrorizing constituents, including in Chicagoland, in my neighborhood. I saw it last year firsthand. You and Cash Patel covered up the murder of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez in my district by ICE agents. You tried to investigate Renee Good instead of the ICE agent who murdered her, and you tried to cover up the murder of Alex Peretti by CBP agents. You bring fake charges against protesters like the Broadview Six and Marimar Martinez, whom your administration labeled a domestic terrorist.
I gotta respect. He's saying these names with his whole accent. He's saying these names with his whole accent. That boy switched to Spanish immediately. That boy going nuts. He said, by the way, you suck, and you did this wrong. You know what? I don't like you. And you stink. I can smell you from here. He's going crazy.
This is the Montessori teacher who lived in my district while protecting thugs who terrorize us and DHS authority. That's what you do. Protect and enable the criminals who are plundering our society and destroying what's left of democracy and the rule of law. Epstein accomplices, mass DHS thugs, corporate criminals, Tom Homan, Eric Adams, insurrectionists, the list goes on. And you talk about fighting crime, but you protect any criminal who helps you and Trump turn our country into an authoritarian gangster state. And after all this, nobody supports you. I'm not talking about Democrats, I'm talking about conservative judges.
Guys, I'd like to bring up something for a moment, and this is completely off topic. So I have this on my desk, and my wife got angry for 5 seconds because she was like, who is this woman? my wife got violently mad for 5 seconds because she saw this on my desk. Now, you might not know what this is. This is the model on my eye cream pamphlet. So I just gotta point that out. She's over here like I can feel the heat from her anger. I'm over here like, yeah, I got skincare. She's just like, I gotta respect that. I'm just gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going.
Who are condemning the rampant lawlessness at DOJ under your leadership. Your prosecutors are quitting in droves over being forced to prosecute low-level immigration cases, including in Chicagoland. Your MAGA base despises you because you're covering up the Epstein file. How ironic. And even your own boss has repeatedly complained to your staff about you, calling you weak and ineffective.
I need this guy as my ringtone. Bro is going in. Oh my god. Oh my god. This is insane. This is insane.
Weak and ineffective. That's what Donald Trump thinks of you already. You will not win, however. Chicagoland rejects you. The American people reject you. Our communities have demonstrated our strength and resilience in the face of cruelty and cowardice. Democrats must impeach and remove lawless officials like you and Kristi Noem and impose accountability for every criminal action. But you can spare yourself more humiliation. Resign now and submit yourself to accountability by the American people. Mr. Chairman, before I yield back, I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record this Wall Street Journal article dated January 12, 2026, entitled, Trump has complained about Pam Bondi repeatedly to aides. Thank you, and I yield back.
Objection. Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman.
May I have 20 seconds, please?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's hear the opposition research.
Thank you. That's absolutely right. That they're not running for, he's not running for office again because, well, I don't know why you're not running for office again, but after the filing deadline, you publicly announced you would not run when your chief of staff, Patty Garcia, announced and took your seat.
That's a state matter. That isn't a federal matter. You should investigate crimes.
The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas. The time belongs to the gentleman from Texas.
A little flexibility on the time. I appreciate it, Chairman. Madam Attorney General, am I correct that under your leadership, the Department of Justice has prosecuted cases of non-citizen voting? So it's false, as some of my Democratic colleagues have claimed, that it doesn't happen.
Yes.
I ask that today because we're voting on the Save America.
That's Colonel Sanders, baby. That's Colonel Sanders and Lex Luthor put together. That's what's going on. That's I don't laugh like a rich uncle. I don't. Is that a rich uncle laugh?
They keep saying that.
I don't have a rich laugh. Why do you think I have a rich laugh? Let me do a poor laugh. Ha ha ha. Ha ha ha. I gotta laugh like fucked up. Is that? How do poor? This is gonna sound crazy. How do poor people laugh? Do an evil laugh? Is that?
Yeah, just laugh like that.
Like, I got you. Laugh like Doflamingo. Like that. I'm gonna do that. That's crazy. The poor don't laugh. I'm just gonna go back to Lex Luthor right here.
Act today to enact common sense policies to ensure all American citizens vote in American elections and enact federal voter ID laws. But it's true, for example, that in just this month, a federal grand jury in Newark indicted 2 men with illegally voting in federal election and making false statements. Mohammed Mazamal and Mohammed Shakil were non-citizens at the time they registered to vote. This happens regularly, and you're prosecuting those crimes, correct?
Yes.
But does that prosecution of those criminals overturn their previously cast votes?
That's all pending.
But it does not overturn votes that they cast, right? So passing the Save
no,
America Act
Congressman.
would help deal with that problem.
Yes, Congressman.
Second question. As Attorney General, you're in charge of the Executive Office of Immigration Review, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
The Biden-Mayorkas regime caused the immigration court case backlog to explode, correct?
Okay, all right, we're going
Biden's
crazy.
is perceived of an appointing cocaine in that area. The James, some very here. The straight.
Was time for several is dated September 25th, 25.
Objection.
The Bondi Department of Justice memo dated December 4th, 2025.
Objection.
An article from Newsweek entitled DOJ deletes study alleging rise in far-right terrorism dated September 18th, 2025.
Without objection.
Notice article from October 3rd, 2025. Trump's directive on organized political violence could lead to increased surveillance of his critics.
Without objection.
Washington Post article, September 25th, 2025. Trump targets domestic terrorists, but only mentions the radical left.
Without objection.
Idaho Capitol Sun, October 18th, 2025. Rest easy, Idahoans. The No King demonstrators are American patriots.
Without objection.
Attacks on freedom of speech, what nonprofits need to know, published by the National Council of Nonprofits, the largest network of nonprofits in America.
Without objection.
The Freedom from Religious Foundation warns that Bondi memo weaponizes federal law enforcement against non-Christians and dissenting viewpoints.
Without objection.
A Ken Klipperstein blog from January 28th, 26, ICE's secret watch lists of Americans.
Without objection.
And an Intercept article from February 2nd, 26, Trump calls his enemies terrorists. Does that mean he can kill them?
Without objection. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi.
Good afternoon.
Oh, you're right. Good afternoon. It's been a long day. I wrote this morning. We've known each other a long time, and I'll always be appreciative for your assistance when you were Attorney General in Florida.
I know this is gonna be crazy. For some reason, I can feel this is gonna be nuts because he has a stack of Harry Potter books right next to him. For some odd reason, this man, I can feel such insane aura emanating from the level of nonsense he is about to bring. I can just feel what he is about to do. I can feel it. It's in my system. He's about to go crazy. He's got the widow's peak. Something about to go nuts. I can just feel it. He's complimenting her to butter her up. He's complimenting her to hardcover Harry Potter books. Turf J.K. Rowling is rubbing her hands together right now. This is about to go crazy. You didn't see the Harry Potter books? He has a stack of 4 Harry Potter books right in front of him. What is he about to say? What is I feel something cooking.
After the shooting at my high school at Marjory Stoneman Douglas, in my hometown of Parkland, when we passed a bipartisan bill, the Marjory Stoneman Douglas School Safety Act, which was the largest policy response to a school shooting in American history. Your department also prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law a constituent of mine and former felon that had plans to kill me when he was picked up by law enforcement after he was target practicing in his backyard with 2 rifles, a scope, a silencer, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, an anti-Semitic manifesto. My name was the only name on their target list, and my kids found out about this from their friends at school. So thank you. However, the most transparent administration in American history. Before Trump, we didn't know the word transparency, apparently. It's been 12 months since you gave Republican influencers part 1 of the Epstein files. You said the list was on your desk, and a memo came out and said that there was no list. Phase 2 of the binders never happened. The President of the United States says the Epstein thing is a hoax. He blasts his own base for wanting the release of the files. He blamed Barack Obama. Republicans voted against the release of the files in the Rules Committee. Then they refused to even return to the Rules Committee until they could be protected from future votes on the release. Speaker Johnson sends Congress home a day early before break. They sent the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell. She says something favorable about the President. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security facility. No one can explain why. Miraculously, the leaks of the Wall Street Journal stop. We come back from break. We have the Massey discharge petition. Republicans drop a rule, a non-binding resolution trying to kill the Massey discharge petition. The White House says passing the Massey discharge petition is a hostile act. Trying to stop the necessary 218 signatures, according to Republican members that signed it, the White House brought them into the Situation Room, you know, the place where the president goes for time of war, promising things like appropriations or maybe even to primary them. People in the room say you were there. It didn't work. We get the 218 signatures. We eventually passed the Massey petition. You guys didn't release the files. You were forced by Congress. Every member of the House except one and the entire Senate. The reason the president signed it is because it was a veto-proof majority. We can't agree on anything, and yet the entire House but one member and the whole Senate forced the administration to release the files. Kash Patel under oath said to Senator Kennedy, the FBI is not in possession of any credible evidence that Epstein trafficked girls to anyone but himself. We know now that's not true. According to documents, Epstein had a worldwide sex trafficking ring.
He's a master manipulator. Now, this is gonna sound crazy, but I wanna point this out. See how he started off kind of buttering up? He was like, you know, we went way back. We went way back. As a matter of fact, I respect you. I respect you. You was at my son's birthday party. However, the whole administration is worthless. As a matter of fact, Ghislaine Maxwell can rot in prison. Whoa, that came out of nowhere. I respect that. I gotta figure out why he got these Harry Potter books.
Girls from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Paris, modeling agencies sending him girls. He even had a relationship with a summer camp where he groomed girls at a picnic table. Ghislaine Maxwell says 29 Epstein associates cut secret DOJ deals. Turns out there is a list. 6 names readily available if you unredact them. Co-conspirators named, but we got them when you unredact them. Maxwell recently tells a House Oversight Committee that she wants clemency to release more names. Kash Patel under oath said Trump's name appears less than 100 times in the files. We now know that's not true. Trump's name appears more times in the Epstein files than God's name appears in the book about God.
Where did that book come from? Where did this book come from? He's got a menagerie of books. Does he just have a bunch of books?
Okay, by the way, this is the Trump Bible. Move over, King James. Trump's name.
Hold on a second. What did he say? He said that was a Trump Bible?
Then God's name appears in the book about God. Okay, by the way, this is the Trump Bible. Move over, King James. Trump's name
okay.
also appears more times in the Epstein file than Harry Potter's name appears in the 7 books about Harry Potter.
He did it for visual flair. He did that for visual flair. He did that for visual flair. He did that for visual flair. It's crazy. What in Orifice? Rizzler who? Sungjin who? This man he came just to Orifice. The guy, just to say, by the way, your move. Crazy. That's such, what peak? What peak? What peak? What peak? Yeah, he was a theater kid for sure, bro. Oh, God. Oh.
Lutnick says that in 2008, he went to Epstein's home, says he had a massage table in the living room. But Epstein said he got one every day, that it was the right type of massage. He and his wife decide to leave and say they'll never be in a room with him again. Howard then says, I'm sure the Epstein stuff is all on video. He was the greatest blackmailer of all time. Well, how would Howard know that? But now the files are public, and in 2012, we find out that he and his family are on Epstein Island after Epstein pled guilty to state charges. I'm from Florida. I take my family to Disney World, not to Epstein Island. There are documents in the files that dispute the president's claim that he kicked Epstein out of his club. Allegedly, the president said that he asked Epstein to leave. Supported now that's disputed though statements from the manager of the club. Now, Madam Attorney General, I have like 25 seconds left. So because I'm curious, and I'd like to see, flip to the Jared Moskowitz section of the binder. I'm interested to see what staff provided on the oppo on me, and because we're in the Olympics, I'm going to give it a grade. I just want to see how good it is. So give me your best one.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did. You made a joke, and I find offense to that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book, which is the best one. What you got?
Has expired. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to clear something up that was...
He had another prop. He had another prop. Hold, please. Hold, please. He deserves regular speed.
Curious, and I'd like to see, flip to the Jared Moskowitz section of the binder. I'm interested to see what staff provided on the oppo on me, and because we're in the Olympics, I'm going to give it a grade. I just want to see how good it is. So give me your best one.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and
He didn't even mock the Bible for real, man.
holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did. You made a joke, and I find offense to that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book, which is the best one. What you got?
I want it from the burn book. I want it from the burn book. My goat.
Has expired. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
Thank you. First of all, I'd like to clear something up that was said earlier and is frequently said, and is manifestly not true. And that is the supposed small number of crimes committed by immigrants or illegal immigrants in the country. That has been based on a poor...
I like how it's between immigrants and Epstein. I got it. This is exactly... This is such a great show. This is such a great show of how the Trump administration works. Bring up Epstein, what about immigration? And then we bring up Epstein again, they just keep bringing up immigration. It's so great. I like this.
And illegal federal prison, all nonsense here, where nobody has those numbers. Okay, there's the first thing. Now, the next thing I want to point out, we have had what I think is an unprecedented situation in Minnesota. Okay, now, well, you tolerate fools gladly, so I appreciate that trait. You suffer fools gladly. In hearings like this, we often focus on new initiatives undertaken by the department. Today, I'd like to give you an opportunity to discuss actions implemented under the Biden administration's Department of Justice, such as the Foreign Influence Task Force.
Yesterday, detailed explanation for why you have withheld almost half of the documents, which is required by the bill. Now, obviously, there are 3 million documents, so I didn't get through much. But one thing I didn't see was the client list that you said you had on your desk a year ago. I did, however, find a couple of important documents. An 86-page prosecution memo from the Southern District of New York, and a draft indictment from Florida against Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators. For reasons that I cannot understand nor are permitted by the bill, they were still redacted, even for members of Congress. So, Ms. Bondi, will you commit right here to immediately providing those 2 documents in unredacted form to members of Congress? Not a complicated question.
Well, I guess it is for you because you have a law degree and those are privileged.
Okay, they're not privileged, but we will discuss that later. I also found an email that I have right here from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell that was unredacted, and it included notes of statements that Donald Trump made about his prior relationship with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, there is no reason for this to be hidden from the American people. There is no privilege, there is no attorney-client privilege, and I see you're checking with your staff, and I can assure you, staff, this is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized for that in 2019?
So, will you unredact this? Will you
were
unredact
lead
this?
counsel on that. Privileged.
I'm asking you, will you unredact this?
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
Well, and let me stop a minute.
I'm talking.
If they're not privileged,
quiet.
Don't yell at me. If they're not
Chairman, would you
privileged,
stop the clock? This is on your time. It's not on Mr.
If they're
Goldman.
not
Even though
privileged,
you used your
if we review
improper
them and they're not-
redactions
You'll like my answer.
to
If we
continue
review
to
them and they're not
protect
privileged,
Time belongs to the
we'll be
member.
happy to release them.
We'll stop the clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member. Go ahead.
Even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the exact opposite thing with the survivors and victims of this scheme. So their identification information was really the only thing required to be redacted, and it was not. And it's clear this was not a mistake. This was not by accident. This was not because you only had 30 days when you really used 75, and that doesn't even include all the hours last March that you were redacting it. But I'll tell you why it's clear it wasn't a mistake. There is an email entitled Epstein Victim List. There are 32 names. 1 is redacted. 31 are not. So someone looked at it and decided to redact something. And I will tell you that that is clearly intentional to intimidate these survivors and victims. Now, in an interview last week...
How will you tell me that's intentional?
In an interview last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche
You can't go off script.
said that any victim that wants to speak with the department has done so, hopefully. Well, thanks to the incredibly brave people sitting here behind you, we can actually ask them if that's true. Now, with the survivors and victims who are here, please stand up one more time. Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those of you, all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice? All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice? All of them. Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk
expired.
to, and I yield back.
We will go to the good gentleman from North Carolina, Congressman Knott. Thank
May
you.
I have a moment, Congressman?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein. This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
That's because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault. Wow, he represents New York. Wow, yet he doesn't care about the illegal aliens convicted of crime.
This is so interesting because it's like that's not a defense, right? It's not a defense to say, hey, guess what, guys? I know I'm talking about the Epstein stuff, but the reason they keep bringing it up is because all they care about is illegal immigrants. They don't even care about the illegal immigrants, do they? Yeah, there's predators, but look at these illegal immigrants. It's so crazy. This is insane.
Assault and homicide. No longer a prosecutor, so he doesn't care about his constituents. Here we go. Arson.
This doesn't work.
We refuse to take part in immigration law. And when you add up, we're still much more of people. Please describe. A federal detainer is issued to local law enforcement who have been
Americans that the
efforts to
would do that. These are some of the most violent criminals I think we've all seen.
yes, and just murder almost good.
Can't see that.
I believe so, and 78,500 kilos of meth and more than 260,000 kilos of cocaine.
Unbelievable.
That's lives saved every day for all of us, for
Absolutely.
families, for children.
And then true or false, the Department of Justice under your leadership has a 92% success rate at the Supreme Court. We have seen in places like Minnesota that is removing billions of hard-earned tax dollars from this country.
Absolutely, and President Trump is committed to doing that in every city in this country.
Serious efforts to try to, and we were
To the good lady from California, Congresswoman Kamlager Dove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General, for being here today. I want to talk with you about an issue on which there is broad bipartisan agreement, the importance of ensuring trust between the American public and those government officials who wield powerful law enforcement responsibilities. So, Attorney General, would you agree that it is important for law enforcement leaders to be honest?
Of course, as well as members of Congress.
Thank you. And would you include yourself as a law enforcement leader?
Of course.
Okay, thank you, thank you. You know, President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America, and not only is he keeping this country safe, he is keeping this world safe.
It's a simple question which you didn't answer.
He is the
Okay, thank you.
commander-in-chief.
Last June, Minnesota lawmaker Melissa Hortman, her husband Mark, and their dog were brutally murdered in their home. And your USA's office in Minnesota investigated this crime and obtained a 6-count indictment of the murder suspect, stating that he had intent to kill, injury, harass, and intimidate Minnesota legislators. And I have the copy right here. I read through it. Yet a few weeks ago, President Trump suggested publicly that Minnesota Governor Tim Walz was behind these murders, posting on his Truth Social account a video raising this conspiracy theory. And it wasn't true. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject. Do you know what else Trump has said? He has said he has cut gas prices by 1,400%. False. That he won the 2020 election.
Actually,
False.
gas is down to $1.99 a gallon, thanks to
That he
President
didn't
Trump.
know Epstein.
Maybe $5 in California.
It's my time, Mr. Chair. That he sent water to LA during the wildfires. False. That Governor Westmore of Maryland called him the greatest president of his lifetime. False. So many tales, too many to keep up. But I want to go back to what he said about Tim Walz. Do you agree that President Trump undermined public trust in law enforcement by suggesting that Governor Walz was involved in the Hortman murders?
I am not familiar with that statement.
Well, that is a disappointing response, and it is also why your office and Donald Trump have zero credibility, because I know, and you know, it was a right-wing extremist who murdered the Hortmans, and you and the president are being dishonest with the American people. Last fall, after the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk, President Trump was asked if there were extremists on both the left and the right, and his exact words were, "I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious, and they're horrible, and they're politically savvy." Do you agree with this statement? You're taking too long, Madam Attorney General. But you know the answer, because your own department has addressed the question. In 24, the DOJ's research arm issued a report on domestic terrorism, stating that the number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violence extremists. The DOJ published the report, and after the president made those comments, the DOJ took the report down. And I sent you a letter asking you a simple question. Why did the Justice Department remove the data that shows right-wing extremists have killed more innocent people than left-wing extremists?
Did you refer to immigration enforcement as domestic terrorism?
You should answer my question.
Yes.
You're on my time, but you won't. And what I am asking you to do is put the report back. Restore the data.
Her name's not Miss Garcia. It's Miss Kamlager Dove is what her name is, by the way. You're reading the left name, which is Mr. Garcia. This is Miss Kamlager Dove, if you're curious.
Data. Stop scrubbing important data from your website. Stop taking down reports that you know the American people need to know about. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats, and the dishonesty from your agency comes from the covering up of these threats that could hurt American people and put our lives at rest. Do better. And with that, I yield back, Mr.
The lady yields back. The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
May I have one moment?
You may.
Her district includes Culver City, and she's not talking about any crime in her districts, nothing about helping crime in her district. She's not even worth getting into the details.
Well, thank you, Madam Attorney General, and we are grateful to have you here today. And let me just say that you've shown great perseverance today, and I think you're coming to the last lap here of those of us that are left, but I applaud your strength and I applaud your resolve. Madam Attorney General, as a pastor for over 37 years now, I take serious issue with any attempts by agitators to disrupt church services or activities at houses of worship. And I just want to take a moment to clarify some things. I realize you can't talk about pending cases per se, but I do want to ask some very general questions for clarification. Does the DOJ consider unauthorized entry into a house of worship to be protected activity under the First Amendment when undertaken by a member of the press?
Unauthorized with the intent of disrupting, yes.
Okay.
Even if it's a blogger like Don Lemon.
Correct. How does the DOJ distinguish between news-gathering activity and expressive or protest conduct when a press defense is asserted?
Congressman, I met with the pastor of that church, and what happens to get these
available answer, right or wrong, of answering questions. But instead, I'm going to ask some very basic.
Oh, this is gonna get crazy. I can feel this. Yeah, I can feel this. This is what she's a black woman. This is gonna be the most heated of all time. I can tell by the fact that she has the best hair out of everybody that we've seen so far. She probably also looks the youngest. Oh, this is gonna be bad.
Questions really quickly of my colleague, Becca Ballin, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses. I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried, but typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers in the entire Department of Justice. We are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massey, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to.
Holy shit. That's crazy. That's all right. Let's keep cooking. Let's keep cooking, because oh god damn.
Corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on. And frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice, and second, to return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected y'all for trying to arrest Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like a grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Slotkin, just like the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ, because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter, so let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, this is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2026 midterm elections, or how federal agents have Tom Homan on tape accepting a bribe and your agency killed the investigation, or how your agency is ready to give the president a $230 million payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history, an attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
Gentlelady yields. Gentleman from Missouri is recognized. Excuse me, gentleman from Kansas, the Attorney General, former Attorney General, Mr. Schmidt is recognized.
Holy crap. That was insane. That's crazy. That was insane. That was crazy. That was crazy. That was insane. That was wild. All right, what does Scam Bondi got to say?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and General Bondi, thanks for being here. Did you have anything you wanted to say before we talk?
I do. Thank you, Congressman. Thank you, my friend, for many years. I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try, Congresswoman Crockett, to ask any questions because she certainly did not condemn her leader, Hakeem Jeffries, for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what are we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting behind you.
Time belongs
Refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Time belongs to the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a few seconds back to make up for the yelling? Thank you. General, did you have anything further to say?
Texas, convicted of homicide, Cecil Joseph, from Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape, Khalid Khan, from state.
Today, I think it's sad. I ran for Congress because I thought we had serious problems in this country we wanted to try to fix together, and this performance today, not yours, General, but some of my colleagues, has not shored up my confidence that...
It's just like, you know rapists, I know rapists, you know rapists, I know rapists.
It's weird. It's a strange back and forth. It's really stupid, isn't it?
What is this?
It's his kangaroo court.
Where's this place?
Kangaroo court.
We are up to the task. You and I served together for 8 years when you were Attorney General of Florida and I in Kansas. You served professionally. I'm glad to be able to serve with you in these new roles, and I'm glad you're there, both generally and today. Part of the reason I ran for Congress is because in my former role, I saw in the real world, in my state, the consequences of failed U.S. immigration and border security policy. And I'll spare you the lengthy recitation, but let me give you the short version. I sit here and think about a fellow who was running, I believe it was drugs for the cartels, and shot a police officer in Oklahoma, drove across the border into my state, kidnapped an old man. I'm thinking about we're supposed to be here at all, who murdered, I think it was his wife or his domestic partner in an act of domestic violence in Northwest Kansas. I'm thinking about another guy who was here and joined up with some folks who were citizens and committed force. The United States has said they need to be sent out of this country. People lie. They don't bring up property or violence against police. Is it the case that the law says under Rule 65? And didn't the president direct you and other agency heads to start seeking bonds in those cases?
Yes.
And should we beef up the law in that area by codifying?
Questions. Appreciate it. I've got a series of questions for you that we can get through pretty quickly, I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and acquire...
James, I want to talk to you individually for a moment. Mrs. Crockett just got done flaming Pam Bondi over the Epstein files. You have told me, Saros, I love the content, but I need to be known that Glazing Crockett is fine as long as you acknowledge she's still a DNC pro-Israel shill. That's exactly what Pam Bondi is doing every time she pops up with... You didn't say anything about the fact of you're not talking about illegal immigration. I'm not taking away the fact that she is pro-Israel. My main concern right now is about the Epstein files. It is horrifying what is going on in Palestine and Israel. But my main concern right now, is the Epstein files. If you want to bring up that she's bad in other ways, that's great. That's fine. That's fantastic. A broken clock is right twice a day. You know what I mean? But I am here to simply talk about the Epstein files. Israel situation sucks. We all know that. I can't do much about it. But what I can do is talk about things that I actually can affect. I cannot put every bit of my energy into every single other thing. Right? It is horrifying and disgusting what's going on in the Congo right now. That sucks too. It sucks and it's horrifying what is going on in France right now. That sucks too. Terrifying what's going on in many other places. Yes, you have the Duolingo notification. It is horrifying. And it sucks. And a lot of people didn't vote Kamala because she supported Israel. But look where we're at now with Trump, who also supports Israel. This is important. Ukraine too, tons of countries. But I'm going to focus my energy right now on Epstein. That's what I want to do. That's what I want to do. I can acknowledge all the bad things on earth. It's horrifying. And I know her allegiances are skewed, but she is focusing on the same issue as me. The enemy of my enemy is my friend. Right? Are you against comfort? Like having shirts on, buddy. Sorry about that. Appreciate you, though. I appreciate you for bringing it up. I'm happy you care about, Israel or care about Palestine. It's horrifying what's going on there. And that flaming gigapose easy. I voted Harris too. Right now, though, I cannot shoot as once. Like, that's fine, bro. I agree. Now then, get back to this.
Fire director.
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with no criminal histories?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the FACE Act to target pro-life advocates while it allowed anti-life agitators
They probably did. I'm sure they did.
Yes.
They sucked.
Unbelievable.
Turning more.
And that's thanks to the incredible men and women of law enforcement, FBI, DEA, ATF, everyone working together to solve violent crime, along with our sheriffs, our local law enforcement, working as a team throughout this country, and our great...
That's amazing.
I think you're saying on parents that Mr. Garland had issued. We've talked about, Mr. Gill pointed out with the crime stats that have went down. So our last question of the day, not the least, the gentleman, I'm sorry, we're going to have two more. We got Mr. Onder and then Mr. Baumgartner. So Mr. Baumgartner, let's go that way. Since you're
General Bondi, being a freshman on this committee, you always get a bit surprised, I guess, even 1 year into my term here, how theatrical days like this can be.
Okay, I feel like they're not going to talk about anything else. This is very interesting. Very interesting. This has been very, very interesting. A lot of highlights there. It's been strange. It's been odd overall. It's been disgusting. I don't know when she's going to pop up and do it again. No clue. But that's going to be the stream for tonight. I'll be back tomorrow to talk about more stuff. So, yeah. You seem like a smart couple. I love it. She is perfect. Guys, thank you guys so much for checking out my content. Appreciate you. Have a lovely day or night wherever you're at. I'm out. Peace.